A man stands at the center of an altar, pleading with an unknown god. He seems willing to sacrifice his chance to become a deity in 5,000 years of development in order to return to the past. With those words spoken, a massive beam of energy strikes the area, distorting reality rapidly. With that, he is transported to May 2017, where the man appears in a completely new setting, dressed in his school uniform. He collapses to the ground, realizing that his request had been granted, returning to the past just as he had wished. As people gather around what appears to be a school, he remembers his mother and younger sister. Tears of emotion stream down his face as he declares that he has finally returned and is ready to atone for the sins of his past life, determined not to let the person named Zhao Shang harm his family this time. In the Longshan University dormitory, room 1103, the protagonist reappears. He holds a clock that shows the current time and date of that day. He realizes he needs to quickly earn money to fix his family's difficult situation, which seems far from ideal. He turns on his computer, deciding to use some riskier methods for now. Three boys open the door to room 1103, chatting about visiting a new shrimp shop that had recently opened nearby. As they talk, they notice that young Master Mu is skipping classes again. They order the protagonist to pay for their dinner that night. However, the boy simply ignores their demand. This angers them, leading one to call the protagonist poor. Then he threatens to reveal the secret of the protagonist family's financial struggles to everyone at school, calling him a fraud. Zhu shouts that everyone in school will learn the truth, while being held back by one of his friends who tries to calm him down, reminding the protagonist that to keep that secret he needs to show at least some gratitude. Unbothered, the protagonist replies that they can let everyone know the truth. He no longer cares. Turning his back, he walks away with his backpack. Hearing Zhu's complaint, says he leaves. After returning and losing all his abilities, he needs to find a way to regain everything. He heads to a pawn shop. There, he tries to sell his laptop to a woman who offers him 800 silver coins, saying the device is too old and heavily used. His mother had saved and scrimped for months just to buy him that laptop, which now was worth only 800 silver coins. Meanwhile, he had been wasting time at university, pretending to enjoy a fake life of wealth. In truth, the boy had constantly forced his mother to send him more money because he was broke, and her health seemed to have worsened because of it. Someone interrupts his thoughts at that moment, calling him by the name Mu Lai. Turning around, he is surprised to see a girl with short hair, wearing overalls and holding a blue bag. She is, in fact, his younger sister. Seeing his younger sister, he remembers how in his past life he had dragged her into the chaos he had caused. Under pressure from Zhu Shaihang, she had taken her own life by jumping from a building window. As he recalls the tragic situation he had caused, she asks him what happened. He responds that it's nothing, promising himself that this time he would protect her. She opens her bag and pulls out 5,000 she had earned from her part-time job, handing them to him, asking him to stop borrowing money from their mother. He is surprised, which irritates her, and she pushes the money into his chest. His sister tells him he can't pretend to be clueless, because she knows he had threatened their mother, saying he would drop out of school if she didn't give him more money. Moreover, she also knows he had been spending time enjoying life with those who claim to be his friends. She asks him to return to reality. As she hands him the money, it turns away. But the protagonist says he doesn't need it, urging her to use the money for her own school expenses. However, she tells him she's actually dropping out of school. Mubli asks her why. She explains that their house is buried in debt, and tax collectors are after them. With her mother unable to handle it alone, she decided to quit school to work. Hearing this, he hugs his sister, surprising her, and she asks what he is doing, apologizes to her, saying he only needs a few days to fix the problem, and asks her to trust him, noticing her brother's unusual behavior. Sometime later, we see Mulai shopping for a few items. He grabs a basin and some bags, walking with a serious expression, looking for a place to be alone. With a makeshift fire, he prepares a drink in the forest. If reflecting on the scarce spiritual energy left in the world, he believes this spiritual drink will help him. The mixture gives off a small explosion, signaling that his potion is ready. With his plan seemingly successful, he pours some into a container, quickly consuming it all, and begins explaining the powers of this universe, stating that cultivation can be categorized into 5 great realms. They are Lianqi the First, Yandin the Second, Shenhun the Third, Huashan the Fourth, and Tianren the Fifth. Following the Shengshen manual he's using to practice, he believes its effectiveness will easily surpass that of a normal human. An hour later, he reaches the first stage of the Great Realm Lion Qi. To test it, he clenches his fist and punches a tree with full force, splitting it in half effortlessly. Not ready to handle any amateur martial artist in Huaxia, he has a particular place in mind that seems like the quickest way to make some money. Starting his plan, we see an establishment that looks like an internet cafe, with computers being used everywhere. Hulai uses this place to access a well-known website, the World Black Market, where people exchange information and favors, also posting missions, searching for one to earn money. He finds a post about the Zun Kingdom and Longsun Village, and reading the description, he notices that Wuzhen must be one of the levels in martial arts. But even at this masterly level, a person remains a mere mortal. A reward of 10,000 had been placed on the head of Su Wen's daughter, a millionaire in Longsan Village. He immediately checks the comment section where people debate the topic, and the mission's value catches his attention. Seeing all this, you can't believe there are still people taking on such jobs. Another post on the same site mentions someone wanting to hire a master to protect their daughter for a month with a reward of 20,000. In the comments of this post, people discuss the impossibility of anyone being capable of completing such a difficult task. This intrigues Mulai, who immediately accepts the mission. The people on the site, seeing that someone had accepted the mission, are shocked that someone would confront a renowned assassin. Mulai then removes his headphones and grabs his phone to contact his client. He provides his location and asks someone to meet him at the cyber cafe. The secretary on the call questions her master about whether the person could really be trusted. The man named Su responds that it's already a miracle someone accepted the task, suggesting they discuss it later. An hour and a half later, Mulai arrives at his client's house. Observing the large residence, Su-en appears, extending his hand to greet the boy, confirming that he is the one who posted the job. He invites them inside quickly, but Mulai suggests they observe the surroundings first. The man agrees, saying they can talk while walking, explaining his current situation. Suan had an enemy he had been fighting in the corporate world for years, and not long ago, he had given the police leads on his illegal earnings. His enemy, now wanted by the police, apparently planned to assassinate his daughter as revenge. With only the sound of a few birds nearby, Boole notices something strange and comments on how peaceful the man's village seems. Meanwhile, we see several armed agents prepared for a confrontation. The protagonist remarks that despite this, the people around them are no less dangerous than the assassin. Mulai remarks on how quiet the man's life seems aside from the armed audience surrounding them. Suan is astonished by the boy, who despite walking for the area for the first time, had already noticed all his security personnel. He informs them that against the top assassin from that site, all of them would be useless. A secretary appears, announcing that Master Lin had arrived. We see Lin Yu, 62 years old, with a mid-level martial arts rank accompanied by his 26-year-old disciple, Zhao Zhuan, who holds a lower rank. The elder comments that he wanted to hire more help, but as soon as people heard the opponent was Feng Shi, they declined his offer. This makes Su-en anxious. Lin Yu tries to reassure him, saying that Su-en's father was a dear old and he would do his best to find a solution. He turns, noticing Muli's presence, and asks Su-en who he is. Su-en replies that this person is the one who accepted his mission, known as Wu Ji. The martial artists are astonished by the young appearance of this individual, so Ashu Wen questions if he really believes his service is worth 20,000. Lin Yu tells him not to be disrespectful, while Su Wen reminds everyone that they are allies here to help each other. Though Su Wen himself has doubts about the boy, he is willing to hear his plan first, asking him what his strategy is to protect his daughter. The boy then asks him to remove all the surveillance and bodyguards present. Lin Yu, hearing this, questions if he intends to use bait to lure Feng Shi out, warning it won't be easy. But the boy responds that they are all too weak and would only get in his way during the mission, shocking the trio. Su Wen remarks that the boy seems quite audacious, while Mulai Dai continues, saying at least the two martial artists are decent enough to stay. Xiaosuan, credulous, asks if he thinks he's already a master, challenging the boy. Mulai responds that Xiaosuan isn't even qualified to test him. This irritates Xiaosuan. Mulai continues, saying if they want to test him, they can call everyone present to fight him simultaneously. Suan asks if he wouldn't prefer a one-on-one duel with Zhao Huan, but Mulai declines. Instead, he invites everyone for 5 minutes of friendly fighting. De Huan, hearing this, accepts the challenge, wondering how many seconds Mulai will last as everyone charges at him. The bodyguards, armed with baseball bats and fists clenched, surround the boy, his hands still in his pockets. Lin Yu and Su Wen watch, questioning why the boy isn't retaliating. When the first man tries to punch him in the face with his right hand, he easily dodges with a carefree smile. He then causes an area-wide explosion that instantly knocks everyone back. The guards fall to the ground unconscious, and the boy hasn't even removed his hands from his pockets, leaving the spectators speechless. Chuan, bewildered, wonders what Mulai did as he hadn't even moved. Lin Yu is equally surprised. Mulai then invites Zhao Chuan to try his luck. Without hesitation, Zhao Chuan charges at him. He pushes off the ground with his left foot, preparing a spinning aerial kick with his right foot. But Mulai finally pulls one hand from his pocket, deflecting the youth's attack with a finger-made barrier, pushing him back. His Daquan is thrown far, breaking several trees from the force completely defeated. Lin, seemingly realizing the kind of power he's dealing with, finds the boy now looking at him. He apologizes, admitting he underestimated Mulai. Zhao Xun asks his master if even he cannot face the boy. Yunyu replies that not even Master Liu, who has just surpassed a higher level, would be a threat to him. Hearing this, Xuan is shocked, and the elder continues, remarking that Mr. Wu Ji is a master of great power. Amid the commotion, a blonde girl appears yawning, asking what's happening outside her house. Dressed in pink rabbit ear pajamas, she complains about the noise. Finally entering his client's residence, they discuss the impressive talent of Mr. Wu Ji. He responds that it was just a simple skill. Stuan informs him that his daughter's safety is in their hands and asks if there is anything else he can do for him. Wu says there are two things. One being the deposit of 20,000, obviously. The second is that everything he says is for the sake of security. Suan agrees to the terms, assuring that everything will be done immediately. Mulai is pleased to hear this as he sips his tea, stating that he needs the deposit as soon as possible because he has plans for the next day. This surprises everyone who remind him that based on Feng Shi's style, the assassin would likely strike in 2 days. The protagonist then suggests that if that's the case, they should let the client's daughter accompany him. Zhuan tries to understand this better, but he is interrupted by his daughter, Sujaki, who appears leaning on the mansion staircase. He scolds her for showing up in front of all the guests wearing such attire, but she seems indifferent. She complains that she's stuck at home every day, only sleeping and eating, so she sees no reason not to wear just her pajamas. As her father scolds her, Lin Yu, overhearing, says it's understandable for her to be frustrated with her current situation. Sujaki points to Mlei, asking who the unknown boy is. Her father explains that he's the one who will protect her for the next 2 days, urging her not to disrespect him. With a skeptical look, she asks if it's really him, and the boy says she'll have to follow his plan for a month. Also mentions that he won't restrict her freedom during this time. She responds by saying she'd like to go out with him. Mulai turns to his client, who reluctantly agrees, adjusting his glasses and sighing, which seems to make his daughter happy. Su Wen tells her they'll leave the next day and stresses that she must not follow his orders, staying close and not wandering off. She agrees to her father's decision, but clearly has no intention of obeying the boy's orders. The next day, we see a black car speeding along as music plays. Moon Lee notices that the deposit has finally been credited to his bank account. Meanwhile, Sujaki asks the driver to take them downtown, as it's been a long time since she went shopping. Protagonist, putting his phone in his pocket, orders the driver to head to Longshan University, which doesn't sit well with the girl. Disagreeing with his decision, she asks the driver, who is also her uncle, whom he will obey. It becomes clear that their supposedly peaceful trip might turn out to be more stressful than they anticipated. Her uncle, after hearing his niece's question, informs her that her father had instructed them to follow Mr. Wuji's orders politely. In the same moment, she asks him to stop the car so she can do what she really wants. The driver looks at the situation, while Muklai, sitting in the back seat, tells the man to stop the car, which he does. Mr. Jakey steps out, but soon realizes she's in the middle of nowhere, with no way to get to the city center. She returns to the car, slamming the door in frustration, clearly upset with her current situation. Mulai tells her that if she doesn't cause any trouble, they can do whatever she wants once he finishes his business. Despite her angry expression, she seems to accept the proposal. Arriving at the university, she comments that the place where the boy lives doesn't seem like much. The protagonist gets out of the car, not paying much attention to her words. A group of people on a nearby balcony notices the girl, clearly captivated by her beauty. Mulis asks Sujaki to follow him, but she doesn't seem happy about entering such a place. Her uncle reminds her of her father's orders to stay within Mr. Wu Ji's sight at all times. And Mulai reminds her that if she wants to go shopping, it's better to follow his orders. They walk to the entrance of room 1103, where Mulai lives. When they step inside, Sujiaki is disgusted by what she sees. His roommates are playing games on their phones, sitting in their computer chairs in nothing but their underwear, surprised by the girl's presence. One of them remarks about Mulai's return and the pretty girl he brought along. They ask Sujiaki if she'd like to join them their online game. She tries to hide behind Muli for protection, who orders his roommates to leave the room. The boys argue they were just trying to have some fun defying his orders. With little patience, Muli prepares to forcefully eject them. The protagonist begins to emit a terrifying aura inside the room. Skulls appear, threatening their lives from every corner. They all drop to their knees, begging for forgiveness, and pleading with him not to kill him. So J.K., seeing this, asks what happened to them, and the protagonist explains it was just an illusion. He tells her he needs a moment to gather some clothes, and then they'll leave. Back in the car, she confronts him about the dark tricks he used in the room. Feigning another of those attacks, he jokingly threatens her to behave during the trip, which makes her scream in fear. But it's clearly a joke, leaving her irritated. She playfully punches him a few times. The driver asks Mr. Wuji what their next destination it is, and Nuli asks the man to wait a moment. He pulls out his phone and makes a call, asking someone for their current location so he can meet them now. Wu Li orders the driver to go to Longta Street, number 107. Arriving at the location, they're greeted by several women dressed as maids, welcoming the boy and calling him young master. Sujeki can't help but laugh, asking if he has that kind of fetish. Feeling awkward, he begins to wonder if his sister is really working in a place like this. Entering the establishment is bustling with people seated everywhere. One of the maids approaches them and asks if the protagonist is ready to place his order. Moodley asks if a girl named Muksun is working there. The maid responds, saying she's currently serving tables. He calls out to her, and Muksun responds promptly, carrying a tray with a slice of cherry cake and a lemonade. The protagonist stands from his chair, seeing his younger sister dressed like that, and notices a man slapping her on the rear. The man complains that she made him wait too long and tells her to hurry up with his order, which makes Mulai very uncomfortable. The man, Sun Chengren, who had slapped Muksun, asks her to come over to his table quickly so they can talk. Clearly uncomfortable, she apologizes, explaining that she still has work to finish first. Hearing this, he pulls out a ring with a sparkling diamond, proposing to her in front of everyone in the establishment, leaving them all in shock. Sujaki comments that this man is the son of the director of the Sun Properties. Sun Chambron remarks that he knows her family is poor and her brother is useless, mentioning how tough her life is. He assures Mugson that she would have a much better life if she accepted his offer to live with him. Rejecting his proposal, she excuses herself and returns to her work. This irritates Sun Chengren, who then deliberately spills the lemonade she had placed on his table onto himself, immediately calling the owner of the establishment. The owner rushes over, asking what the problem is. Sun Chengren accuses Muksun of spilling the drink on him, demanding that the owner make her lick it up. The owner turns to Muksun, asking if this is how she does her job, raising his hand to slap her. But her brother intervenes, grabbing the man's hand. The owner orders Mulai to let go. Mulai complies by throwing him forcefully onto a distant table. Everyone is shocked by the boy's strength, while his sister realizes her older brother is there. Both Moxon and Sujiki are surprised by the scene. Sun Chengren, pointing his finger at Mulai, asks who he is. Without a word, Mulai delivers a swift blow to his neck with his right hand, causing him to crash the floor. Sun Chengren, enraged, declares himself the heir of the Sun family's properties, asking how Mulai dares to hit him and threatens his life. Sujiaki approaches and sarcastically comments that she didn't realize the Sun family was so at that moment. Sun Chengren recognizes her voice, looking shocked, as she asks if he really intends to mess with Mulai, realizing he's powerless to retaliate. He flees the establishment in a hurry. Sujeki mockingly asks if he's already leaving, suggesting they had a little chat with his father. Not wanting to face the demon of the Su family, he mutters that he won't forget this. Sujeki tells Mulai that he owes her a favor now, but Mulai responds that it's Sun Chengren who owes his life to her. Mexen tugs at her brother's shirt, asking them to leave the place. As the three walk together, he asks why his sister is working there. She replies that they pay well, making Mulai realize she's enduring all this treatment because of his actions. She mentions she hasn't even changed yet. He asks Sujeki if she knows a place where they can find some clothes. Delighted, she says he's asked the right person, leading them to a clothing store. His sister changes hesitantly, unsure if the dress suits her, but both reassure her that she looks great in her new outfit. Worried about the price of the clothes, she suggests leaving them behind. However, Sujeki tells her that her brother is rich enough to buy the entire store, and that a few clothes are nothing to him. Surprised, she wonders how that's possible. Sujeki explains that Mulai is her new bodyguard and earns a very high salary. Mulai hands the bags to his sister, saying he'll transfer 200,000 silver coins to her, asking her to keep some for herself and send the rest to her mother. His sister asks if he'll explain everything. He mentions that a mysterious master taught him martial arts, and because of that, he has changed. But upon hearing this, his sister clearly finds it hard to believe. Trying to explain to his sister that he had become a different person, she retorts, saying that no one changes like that without a reason. But after a brief moment of silence, she finally feels relieved and laughs. She then happily remarks on her brother's change, saying she'll tell their mother about what happened that day. Mu Li asks her to tell their mother that he's sorry, but she turns it back on him, saying he should tell her himself. Hearing all this, Sujeki teases him, asking if the great Master Mu has a sister complex, which leaves him embarrassed. As they get into the car, she also says she's helped him so much that she wonders how he plans to repay her. Mulai responds that he'll follow her wherever she wants to go for the rest of the day. With that, they head to the mall, spending the rest of the afternoon shopping. Carrying several bags at once, Mulai wonders how she can be in such a good mood, watching her tomb as she walks ahead. Back at the car where the driver waits, she comments on how happy she is, something Mulai had clearly noticed. Without much time for conversation, suddenly senses something off from inside the car. The driver asks what's wrong, but Mulai replies it's nothing serious, asking them to head back while the man watches them, noting that the target is on the move. Speeding down a lonely road, they come across a tree blocking their path. Mulai and Sujeki's uncle step out, wondering how a tree ended up in the middle of the road. Birds suddenly scatter from the trees as if something is lurking nearby. In an instant, something moves at extreme speed toward the driver. It turns out to be a gunshot, which Mulai intercepts just before it hits. The man drops the ground in fear, informing Mr. Wu Ji about the bullet. Another shot is fired in his direction, but Mulai stops both bullets with his power, remaining unconcerned. Seeing these tricks, he seems excited to toy with the assassins, immediately sending the bullets back at the shooters. The two gunmen are hit simultaneously, taken down by the boy. Sujeki, who seemed to be sleeping in the car, notices the commotion. She steps out and asks her Uncle Kwan why he's crouched on the ground. He shouts for his niece to get back in the car, warning that they've been ambushed. Frightened, she asks where the attackers are. She suddenly notices a strange smell, collapsing as she realizes it's hallucinogenic gas caught off guard. This forces Mulai to use some of his abilities to manage the situation. Armed men approach their car, asking where the boy is. They find their target lying on the ground, disoriented. Sujeki, nearly unconscious, asks where her bodyguard is. As the ambushers cautiously approach their target, Mulai suddenly appears behind them, asking which group they belong to. They realize they've fallen into a trap, facing the boy trying to take them all down at once. One of them shouts that the kid can't handle all of them alone. Charging at him, Mulai grabs a falling leaf and uses it to defeat them all, slashing their throats with the leaf. They can't believe they've been taken down by simple leaf. The sole survivor questions why a master like him would be in Longshan City. With little patience, Mulai repeats his question to the man. But the man removes his mask and says that if Mulai is trying to gather information, he'll be disappointed, biting a pill, ending his own life. Mulai is surprised by the man's action, placing his hands on his face, admitting he had been careless. With nothing more to do there, he destroys the tree, blocking their way with an instant explosion. He approaches the girl, touching her and casting a spell, hoping she'll stay asleep a little longer, as waking up now would be troublesome. But to his surprise, that's exactly what happens. As she wakes up, Sujaki notices Mulai standing very close to her. This makes her a bit nervous. She asks what he's doing, not fully understanding his intentions, to which he responds that he's just saving her. At that moment, she notices all the defeated assassins lying on the ground, bodies everywhere. Mu Li approaches her uncle to wake him up, explaining that those were hired assassins. The man wakes up, bewildered by the scene before him, unsure of what had happened. The protagonist simply says they'll discuss it further once they return to the village. Upon arrival, Mulai explains everything to Su-an and Lin Yu, who ask about the assassin's clan. Mulai mentions that all of them had a leaf symbol marked on their wrists. Because of this, he doubts the assassin clan would resort to such underhanded methods. Lin, hearing this, recalls something similar, but can't quite remember what it was. Shuman sighs, realizing his daughter might have become a target for others as well. He decides it's best to not let her go out again, with Lin Yu agreeing, suggesting they should take precautions. Moodley agrees and asks Xu Wen if he has any jade ornaments to spare. Without hesitation, Xu Wen instructs a servant to fetch some for him. She returns with the items and hands them to Mu Lai, who is pleased. Xu Wen asks if he plans to bless the jade to ward off evil spirits, but Lin Yu dismisses it as superstition, saying martial artists don't believe in such things. He soon changes his tune, becoming overly intrigued by the jade. Later that night, Mu Lai does exactly what they thought he wouldn't and knocks on Sujiaki's door. She asks what he wants so late at night. He hands her a bracelet with the jade ornaments, asking her to wear it at all times. Thinking it's a gift from him, she blushes and asks what he's up to. In the living room, a conversation takes place. Mu Li asks Sagar for his weapon, which is handed over without much question. He tosses an enchanted jade ornament into the air, then fires at it. The jade deflects the bullet without a scratch. Lin Yu is fascinated, but the item shatters. Suan realizes it can only be used once, while Lin Yu comments that using it is akin to having an extra life. It's a treasure that won't last forever. Mu Lai explains that the item was just for illusionary purposes, thus only usable once. He then reveals the real items, which can be used 4 to 5 times. Lin Yu is even more impressed, and Su Wen asks if one could be given to his daughter. Mu Lai says he already gave her one and asks Suen to keep one for himself and send some to his mother and sister. Suen complies immediately, and Mu Lai thanks him. Next morning, Sujaki wakes up with a jade bracelet on her wrist. Being rebellious, she throws it aside, complaining about being told to wear it all the time. She heads downstairs where her father asks where she's going. Sujaki says she's going out for a walk, but her father warns it's too dangerous and urges her not to be so stubborn. She insists she just wants to take a walk, and Mu Li notices she's not wearing the jade ornament. He has no choice but to accompany her. Xu Wen apologizes for his daughter's behavior. Xu looks annoyed as they finally reach the city center. She asks Mu Lai to stop following her, but he refuses. She tries to convince him it's just for a day, but it's no use. Frustrated, she turns her back on him, complaining about not being able to enjoy her time alone with someone tailing her. Suddenly, she seems to come up with a brilliant idea. She says she really needs to use the bathroom, sarcastically asking if he plans to follow her inside. Mu Lai, immediately realizing her plan, wonders if she actually believes she has a trick up her sleeve. While waiting outside the bathroom, he notes that the little troublemaker is trying to challenge and outsmart him, proving she's truly the Su family's demon. She's still very inexperienced. Trying to escape through the bathroom window, she is caught off guard when Mu Lai shouts her name. She slips, startled, and accuses him of trying to kill her. Mu Lai, holding her shoe that slipped off her foot, proves she can't outwit him as easily as she had hoped. The girl laughs while Mu Lai is standing there. Mu Lai responds, telling her she should be more concerned about the fact that he can see everything under her dress. She rushes back into the bathroom, embarrassed, trying to leave quickly. But to her surprise, Mu Lai is already waiting for her outside again. While this is happening and the girl complains about Mu Lai being everywhere, a schoolmate of his appears. The boy greets her, mentioning it's been a long time since they last saw each other. She was the girl of his dreams in his past life. His schoolmate asks if the girl in the bathroom is his girlfriend, but Su Jiaqi yells from inside that she's not. Mu Li asks if she's doing okay. She replies that she's fine, then compliments him on how much he seems to have improved, inviting him to a party happening in a few days. Afterwards, she says she won't intrude on his date any longer, leaving after the unusual encounter. Realizing she was just a kind person, the boy momentarily forgets that such people still exist. But his phone rings, interrupting his thoughts, revealing that Sujaki has stolen the car and fled the scene. Her uncle asks Nu Lai what they should do since she doesn't even have a driver's license yet. Nu Lai calmly replies that he'll handle it. He tries calling Sujaki, who's recklessly enjoying her newfound freedom behind the wheel. But a police car appears, signaling for her to pull over. She stops, confused about what's going on, as the police car halts in front of her. They explain that someone reported an unlicensed driver and asked her to show her license. Since she doesn't have one, they asked her to step out of the vehicle and get on the ground. A voice in the background remarks that she shouldn't be driving without the necessary skills, and she recognizes it as Mu Lai, realizing he was the one who reported her. He says he had no reason not to as a law-abiding citizen, and she vows to kill him for it. 3 days later, Mu Li knocks on Sujiaki's door. She answers, still angry, saying she doesn't want to see him. Mu Lai explains that he needs her help with something. piquing her curiosity as she asks what it is. He explains that if she helps him, he can offer her something that sparks her interest. They agree to go together to the party his schoolmate invited him to, under the condition that he won't follow her around. Though he agrees, he secretly plans to keep an eye on her from the shadows. They arrive at the mansion where Liao the host greets them and Muli congratulates her. Sujaki finally learns who the girl is. Liao introduces herself and says she's Muli's master, surprising Sujaki while Muli warns that she'll regret that claim. At the party, a man named Wu Ming recognizes Muli and strikes up a conversation. In the past, Wu Ming arrogantly accused Muli of stealing his wallet, which led to several problems in his life. He recalls that day is one he'll never forget because of the humiliation he endured. Wu Ming asks how Muli is doing and why he's pretending to be rich, saying it's not a cool move. Annoyed by their presence, Sujaki asks them to leave, complaining about the noisy mosquitoes nearby. They move to another spot, leaving Wu Ming behind, envious of the boy being with such a beautiful girl. Meanwhile, one of the presidents of the Sun Property Group, Sun Chengren's father, arrives late and apologizes to the host. His son then proposes a toast to Miss Li's birthday, congratulating her. Muli remembers him as a notorious playboy and decides to steer clear of him. Sun Chengren quickly recognizes Muli and Sujaki, remembering how they humiliated him before. Wu Meng pulls Sun Chengren aside, seeking a favor. He's willing to do anything and points at Muli, asking if he can help publicly humiliate him. Hearing this, Sun Chengren gets overly excited about the idea, and together, they start plotting how to humiliate Muli. Meanwhile, Sujaki is busy devouring everything on the table, earning a scolding from Muli for her lack of manners. But she brushes it off, saying the food is so good that she doesn't care about her image. Ming calls Muli over for a chat, and Muli, curious about what Wu Ming is planning, decides to go along. As they exchange glances, Sun Chengren deliberately bumps into Muli and starts shouting, accusing him of trying to rob him. He pretends to have been assaulted, drawing the attention of everyone around, who begin asking what's going on. Sujaki steps in to intervene, and Wu Ming, playing the witness, claims that after Muli tried to rob Sun Chengren, he also assaulted him. Muli, confused, asks what they're trying to achieve with this stunt. Wu Ming accuses him of having a history of misconduct since high school, saying he didn't expect him to still be up to no good, and insults him. Lei Yao steps forward to defend Muli, insisting that he couldn't have done such a thing as she knows his character. Wu Ming calls her name, questioning how she can't see the truth in Mulei's face, and declares that Muli doesn't deserve to be at the party. Sun Chengren appears behind him, pulling a gold Rolex from his pocket, calling Muli a thief. Unbothered by the accusations, Muli shoves Sun Chengren back to the ground. Sun Chengren's father, seeing this, demands to know who Muli is and how he dares to hit his son, ordering him to apologize immediately. He mourns that if Muli doesn't want to end up in court, he'd better kneel and apologize to their family. Muli confronts him without fear, while Sun Chengren calls him a thief and arrogant for his behavior. Sujaki interjects saying, there's no need to make such a fuss over a few 100,000, downplaying the importance of their family. Sun Chengren, startled, calls her a witch as she threatens to sue them for defamation. Approaching Muli, she sarcastically asks what nonsense he's been spouting. She admits she could have intervened sooner, but she was too busy enjoying a piece of cake. The butler defending Sun Chengren asks who Sujaki is. She responds, saying not everyone deserves to look at her directly. They order her removed from the premises, surprised by her boldness. Trying to manage the situation, Muli tells Sujaki to stay behind him, declaring that no one will lay a finger on her in his presence. Sun Chengren urges Muli to give up, boasting about the strength of the guards, and orders them to attack. Muli prepares for the confrontation, exuding an energy that changes the atmosphere, revealing his martial artist prowess. Multiple illusions of him appear, confusing the guards who wonder if he's some sort of ghost. He quickly moves to take them down one by one, reaching the Sun family's side. Sujaki instructs Muli to teach him the lesson. The head of the Sun family tries to assert his authority, but before he can finish, Muli punches him in the face, knocking him to the ground. Sun Chengren rushes to his father, vowing that Muli is finished, pointing at him and retaliating the threats. Sun Chengren mocks him as just a mere martial artist, warning him against being so arrogant. But Muli grabs both Sun Chengren and Wu Ming by the heads, knocking them together and rendering them unconscious. Sujaki cheers for her bodyguard's victory, while Lai Yeo's father tells them they will regret crossing the Sun family. Lai Yeo urges her father to admit the whole thing was a setup, but he brushes it off, calling her knave. Suddenly, a man arrives, surprising everyone. It's the renowned business haiku. He asks Mr. Wuji what's going on, astonishing everyone with a respectful tone he uses toward Mulai. Sun Chungren, unaware of their connection, asks Shu Wen to call the police to have the gangster arrested for 8 to 10 years. But Lai Yao's father orders his son to stop. Shu Wen calmly addresses the head of the Sun family, stating that Su Jiaqi and her friends were merely playing around with them. He suggests that as adults and civilized people, they should avoid turning this into a legal matter. The Sun Patriarch, realizing that Su Jiaqi is Su Wen's daughter, kneels and apologizes to Mulai respectfully. Mulai, uninterested in their theatrics, tells him not to touch him and to stay away. Su Jiaqi feels relieved, noticing how the other girls of the party are now admiring her bodyguard, calling him handsome. Frustrated, she mutters about hating the guy as she watches everyone try and get closer to him. Mr. Sun leaves the venue, and many people, now aware of who Mulai is, begin approaching him in various attempts to make connections. Earlier that day, Mulai was talking with Lin Yu as they climbed the stairs discussing the martial artists of the Wumeng family. They were part of the Huaxia Martial Arts Alliance, appointed by the country's top leader to handle future crisis. Hearing this, Mulai mentions the men in black who had previously attacked Su Jiaqi, but the elder dismisses it, introducing him to Bai Shishan, the white leader of the 2nd Division of Longshan. The group found it hard to believe that someone as young as Mulai could be an assassin. Trying to get to the point, Mulai tells them there's no need for small talk and asks to move on to the main topic. They inform him they've heard about Suan's enemy, threatening his daughter, and wanted to greet Mulai. He turns his back on them, looking to end the meeting quickly. One of the group members tells Mulai not to be so disrespectful, but the elder intervenes, reminding Mulai that Acacia is quite powerful, and they would be protecting him secretly, urging him not to act alone. Mulai dismissively says whatever and leaves, prompting another member to call him arrogant. However, their leader tells them not to stress over someone with a short-lived spirit like him. This calms the member, who concludes Mulai is likely not an informant. Returning to the party, Muli approaches Lai Yao, presenting her with a birthday gift. It's a necklace made from ornamental jades. Lai Yao initially hesitates to accept such a valuable gift, but Muli assures her it's not about money and asks her to wear it whenever she can. She agrees while Su Jiaqi watches from a distance, seemingly jealous that Muli used something from his family to gift another girl. Lei Yao thanks him for the gift and invites him to another costume party, which he accepts. He and Su Jiaqi prepare for the party, with Su Jiaqi donning a bunny costume to disguise herself. Yet Mulai easily recognizes her, claiming he just felt it was her. Lei Yao arrives at the party in a striking costume, catching Mule's attention. She asks if something's wrong or if she looks strange, but he assures her she looks stunning. She then invites him to dance. Mule, unsure of his dancing skills, agrees as Lai Yao offers to teach him, making Su Jiaqi even more annoyed as she curses all men. Suddenly, the lights go out. The crowd assumes it's part of a surprise, but Su Jiaqi panics and screams for her bodyguard. Mostly asks his friend to stay put while he checks the situation, and she cautions him to be careful. While she's alone, someone sneaks up behind her to attack, but the jade amulet activates, emitting a strong light. A barrier forms around her, preventing the masked attackers from getting close, forcing them to retreat. Outside, 2 individuals discuss the failed kidnapping attempt due to the protective item despite their best efforts. Bai Shishin, the white leader of the 2nd Division, appears, recognizing one of them is Hong Kwang, declaring that he won't leave alive. Hong Kwang retorts, promising to settle the blood debt for the destruction of his home, revealing himself as the leader of Acacia City's group. Mulai interrupts, showing no interest in their vendettas, demanding they return Su Jiaqi or face regret. The elder advises Mulai to step back, warning that this enemy is as powerful as him and fighting would be suicidal. Mulai gives him 1 minute to handle it himself. Hong Kwang attacks with his right hand, but Mulai effortlessly blocks it. As Hong Kwang strikes from the left, Mulai dodges again. The 2 exchange blows until Hong Kong pulls a hidden knife, stabbing the elder in the chest, declaring that war involves dirty tricks. Preparing to finish him off, Mulai delivers a powerful kick to his abdomen, sending Hong Kong flying. Taking over the fight, Mulai announces that Bai Shishin's time is up, realizing the opponent's strength. Hong Kwang, puzzled by Muli's identity, swallows a pill, causing his body to surge with energy, enhancing his power. He boasts about his true strength, mocking Mulai as a mere insect. But Mulai swiftly delivers another blow to his head, defeating him with ease. Meanwhile, Suja wakes up in a car with strangers, realizing she's been kidnapped. One of the kidnappers, an extremely creepy individual, stares at Sujaki with malicious intent, saying he can't control himself as he touches her legs. Another kidnapper in the front seat tells her not to worry, because after he's done with her, they'll be their turn. Sujaki screams desperately, wondering where her bodyguard is. Mulai suddenly appears, moving faster than the speeding car, startling one of the kidnappers who notices his presence. The other kidnapper in the front seat remains oblivious, while Sujaki senses the familiar green energy from before. Mulai brings the car to a screeching halt with his bare hands, using his powers and crushing the vehicle's front end. The kidnappers exit the car, weapons drawn and ready. They open fire on Mulai, who catches one bullet between his fingers and dodges the rest. One kidnapper reminds him they still have the unconscious girl in the back seat. He lifts Sujaki onto his shoulder, threatening to throw her into the sea to be fish food. Mulai warns him not to dare, but the kidnapper claims it's no bluff. Without hesitation, the kidnapper throws Sujaki into the sea, shouting that they should die together. In a flash, Muli knocks the kidnapper unconscious and catches Sujaki before she hits the water. Holding her gently, he floats with her in his arms as she starts to regain consciousness. Feeling the warmth of his arms, she finds it unexpectedly comforting. Back at home safely, Mulai places Sujaki in her room and discusses the situation with her father. He explains that the kidnappers used poison, sacrificing their lives, including their leader, Hong Quan. With no clues left behind, they are back to square one in the investigation. Sujaki calls Muli over to her bed, asking if she feels better. Clutching her blanket in anger, she lunges at him, threatening his life in a fit of rage. Grabbing his neck, she reminds him that he promised to protect her, accusing him of being untrustworthy. Her father intervenes, reminding her that if not for Muli, she wouldn't even be there right now. Muli admits the blame, promising to protect her better next time. Realizing it was him who saved her, she releases him, sitting on her bed, embarrassed. Her father informs them that the father and son from the Sun family are seeking Mulai. In a living room, Mulai meets with them. This time, they present themselves politely, offering an apology for the incident. They hand him a sum of money as compensation, which he accepts. Mulai warns them to stay away from his sister, saying he won't forgive them next time. The Sun family members agree and leave, while Mulai reflects on the main assassin, who is likely to make a move soon. Returning to the cyber cafe, he checks the comments on the site where he got his bodyguard job. He posts a comment, publicly challenging the assassin, wagering his money on it. The next morning, Su-wen learns of the bet during breakfast with Lin Yu and decides to bet an additional 20,000 on Mulai. Outside, Sujaki talks to Muli, expressing her desire to go out and have fun. His phone buzzes with notifications of more bets being placed on his challenge. Sojaki gets annoyed at him for focusing on his phone instead of listening to her. Mulai assures her he's paying attention. A little later, he notices the mysterious assassin, known as the Bee's Stinger, hasn't made an appearance yet, which leaves him feeling uneasy. The girl asks why he was standing there thinking so much, questioning if they weren't going out for a walk that day, because she needed to find the man who had saved her. She mentioned that even though she hadn't seen his face, his arms were very comforting, and he could even fly, being the most beautiful being in the universe. Sensing imminent danger, he replies to the girl saying no. She then asks him what the problem was, saying that if her hero were there, he would make sure to beat the boy up. Nula places the bracelet with jade ornaments on her wrist, and she says it was very ugly not wanting to wear it. But he asks her to wear it, explaining that the item would protect her and asking if she understood what he was saying. She then follows his orders and 4 hours pass. Sujaki was in the room reading a book to pass the time while the boy wondered why his enemy had moved yet. Probably was more cautious because of his presence nearby. So he decided to act first, telling the girl that he had spotted a beautiful white rabbit, immediately sparking her interest. He says the animal was outside and probably still in the same spot. This makes her run towards the cute animal, searching for it all over the yard, but finding nothing. Even with the girl outside, no movement was made until something emerged from the trees. Muli notices it and realizes that he was finally acting. A man suddenly appears attempting to kick the boy from his right side, but he manages to block the attack. But the man doesn't retreat and prepares another attack, this time using a type of martial power. The boy realizes he is the primary target as the ninja draws a blade and leaps towards him. However, the ninja receives a direct punch to the face, sending him flying with a single blow. The assassin becomes frustrated that his attempt at assassination had failed, realizing this would be more challenging than expected. Meanwhile, Muli praises the man's skills, but tells him he still has a long way to go to reach his level. With only a smoke bomb left to use, the assassin tries to escape the boy's line of sight. This fails miserably. He realizes the boy, who he thought was just a martial artist, is extremely fast. A chase ensues with both of them quickly jumping through the trees, and the assassin realizes he must do something to lose Mulai. He jumps into a nearby river, sinking straight to the bottom. After holding his breath for 30 minutes, he decides to resurface, thinking he had tricked him. But as he comes back to the surface, the boy is waiting on top of a tree, revealing he also possesses some of the same powers as the assassin. The next day, one of the men at the internet cafe realized he had lost all of his money. Some people even comment about how individuals were going crazy over that game. People started complaining in comments on the website, saying that Wuji had made the bet on purpose just to gain insane profits afterward. Back to the battle. After the assassin, known as Bee Sting, emerges from the water, he faces the boy standing on the water's surface. Seeing this, he wonders if he could really take on a monster like that. Mulei also praises his technique of holding his breath underwater, and the ninja asks if he wanted to learn it from him. He asks the boy to help him out of the cold water, and as Mulei pulls him up, he draws a hidden knife, attempting to finish the boy off by surprise. But to his shock, the boy catches the blade with his fingertips, saying he wasn't skilled enough to face him. He jumps upward, trying to create distance between them, wondering how this was possible. But shortly after, Mulei throws his back, landing a fatal blow to the skull. The ninja sinks back into the water, ending the battle. After that, he checks some messages from his sister, asking when he would come home, because their mother was missing him. He promises never to let them suffer in this life again. Heading to the subway station, he seems on his way to his family after making 50 million in profits on the betting site. He recalls Suje Ki giving him his new card before he left, asking him to help her find her mysterious hero, and tries to imagine what would happen if she found out that person was actually him. A subway announcement informs passengers that they had reached the terminal, but a blue-haired woman was deeply asleep beside him. And seeing this, he tries to wake her, telling her that everyone had already left the carriage. Some men appear searching for a girl, but without success, while what seems to be their leader stops in front of Mulai. Holding a baseball bat, he asks his group if this wasn't what they had been looking for. The woman's name is Xiao Tongyu, and the mysterious man demands Xu turn the elixir the alchemist master had prepared. Xiao Tongyu wakes up startled and whispers for the boy to run, because things were about to get dangerous. They both flee from the man chasing after them. But with that, he says no one was going anywhere, demanding the elixir again and accusing the man with the girl of possibly hiding the elixir to escape. The girl then says she will hold off Wuhan for a while and that he needs to run, because she didn't want innocent people to die because of her. The men ask why she wasn't concerned about her own life first, as one of them uses his eagle's claw power, attacking both of them. Kejao Tongyu pushes the boy back and conjures a magical shield. Unfortunately, the shield wasn't strong enough to defend against the attack and ends up breaking. Even though she was truly a genius in using abilities, she was unlucky to have Wu Hong as her enemy, who lands a knee strike on her stomach, subsequently throwing her far away. There was a rumor that the elixir could bring the dead back to life, as he mentions a man named Alas. Mulai tries to use this distraction to leave the area, but the man tells him no one was allowed to leave yet. The girl, severely injured on the ground, screams for him to run, saying a normal person like him couldn't handle Wu Hao's eagle's claw power. But he ends up being surrounded by the rest of the attackers, forced to defeat all of them without even taking his hands out of his pockets. This surprises Wu Hong, who also charges at the boy, threatening Ben his life. But using his courting death move, he lands a punch on Wu Hong's stomach, sending him flying into another carriage, shattering several windows of the vehicle. Realizing the boy was incredibly strong, Wu Hong asks if he was the person named Huang Fu Ren who was advancing to master level in that province. He responds that he knows nothing about that and asks the lady if she's okay. The leader of the attackers hands him the elixir, apologizing for failing to recognize who the boy was. They then decide to flee while Xiao Tongyu begs him to return the medicine to her. Even though it was so important, he asks why she kept it in a simple glass bottle, risking it breaking at any moment. And as he hands the item back to her, their hands slip, and the bottle falls to the ground, shattering. The girl grabs his leg, saying he needed to get her another one of those. Muli asks her to let him go while trying to persuade the man to see if he could escape from her, asking what he should do then, since that bottle was the medicine that would save her grandfather. He tells her not to worry because he will help her with it, which makes her very happy. Stepping out of the subway, she finds her brother waiting in the car for the girl named Shukshong Yu. He asks who the unfamiliar guy is, and she says she'll explain everything on the way as they get into the car. The guy asks his sister if she managed to get the medicine, and she awkwardly explains that they actually broke the vial. At that moment, he loses control of the car, not believing what he's hearing, and his sister urges him to be careful. Upon reaching their final destination, a few doctors appear showing that the girl's grandfather's condition is indeed quite serious. Her brother even had little hope she could do anything to help, but she enters the place accompanied by Mula nonetheless. She steps into his room, where some people are gathered around his bed, and her father tells her he had spoken with her brother on the phone earlier. To incur failure in the mission, her older brother Yufeng says she shouldn't have been sent to do it, and now that the potions no longer exist, nothing could save their grandfather's life. But she says she found someone quite powerful who might be able to help, which makes her father happy with hopeful news. Finally meeting this person, Mu Lai at the door, waiting outside the room. Seeing this, Yufeng bursts into laughter, not believing that this simple kid could do anything, asking if she would take responsibility for playing with the elder's life. Her father also finds it hard to trust the boy at first, but he approaches and touches the unconscious elder. And after a quick analysis, he informs them that the elder's meridians are dark and blocked, making the procedure not an easy task. Yufeng grabs his shoulder, questioning why he dares to touch their grandfather, but ends up being pushed forcefully against the wall, losing consciousness. This makes everyone realize that this young boy wasn't as ordinary as they thought. Xiao Tongyu's father asks how the elder could be cured, while another older man begins to speak. He says the elder lying in bed is already quite ill, and even with a regressor agent, he no longer has the strength to fight, leaving everyone unsure about accepting Mule's help. The girl asks if her grandfather couldn't be saved, but the boy tells her the elder is just a bit injured, which makes her sigh in relief. But everyone is shocked by the boy's solution, which was to beat the unconscious man until he recovered. Hearing this, the man asks if he has something against their family, not understanding the boy's plan. He explains that it's the easiest and most effective method possible. Yufeng finally regains consciousness and charges at the boy who had hit him, only to take a kick under the chin, being sent against the wall again with ease. Mulai removes the blanket from the bed and lifts the old man to start the treatment. Tio Tongyu wonders if she made a mistake as she watches her grandfather getting beaten around by the boy, who tosses him in every direction. After landing several blows on the elder, he throws him back onto the bed, finishing the treatment. Yufeng says the boy has killed their grandfather for good, and that his sin won't be forgiven. But to everyone's surprise, the elder finally wakes up, clutching his belly from the blows he received. They ask him how he feels, and he replies he's never felt better before, happy that his injuries are improved. Nulai informs them that his meridians have been repaired and his power increased. And unless there's anything else to be done, he's ready to leave. The family leader says if he ever needs anything in the future, they will gladly assist him, which prompts the boy to ask if they have any ancient herbs, preferably over 100 years old. Such herbs were quite rare, but they originally had some, though they had to use them because of the grandfather's illness. However, he assures they'll try to find some, leaving Yufeng wondering how all of this happened. Intending to resolve his own issues, the boy says he'll be on his way, but the man asks him to wait a bit longer. Calling a private driver to take him back to the subway, Wak Seo Tong Yu watches the boy with admiration. Finally heading home, he recalls his past life, where his mother had suffered greatly used and killed, vowing that in this new life she'll live in the best house, happy and enjoying her life. A few hours pass, and he finally meets his sister, who's taking the trash outside. She rejoices at her family being reunited again, showing that she has also become a happier person. Finally arriving home, they gather for dinner, and his mother asks the boy to eat more, reminding him he's still growing. She tells him that since he's living alone, he should let her know if he runs out of money and not be so stubborn. The boy notices a burn mark on the woman's right arm and begins to remember what happened when he was 8 years old. He was at the stove trying to cook, but when tried to lift the pot, he found it too heavy. His mother, who had overslept, wakes up, realizing she's late to prepare dinner. When she reaches the kitchen, she sees her son struggling with the pot on the stove. She rushes to help him. The hot liquid spills on the floor. The woman asks her son if he's okay or if he got hurt, and he reassures her that he's fine, but his face shows he's about to cry. He had accidentally burned his mother's arm while trying to help her, but she tells him not to worry, saying a little water will fix everything. After dinner, as they wash the dishes together, he starts to remember how worthless he felt. Regretting all the things that happened in his previous life, he apologizes to her. She calls him a silly boy and asks what he's talking about. The boy tells her he managed to earn enough money to pay off family's debts, and after that, they move to a new home. The woman reminds him that earning money isn't easy and that he shouldn't spend it carelessly. He replies that he just wants to give her a better life, making her realize her son has become more sensitive and empathetic, deciding to trust her beloved son. The next day, Mulai is searching for a new home for his family and seems to have found the perfect place for his mother. Looking through the windows at some luxury cars, he notices a woman also interested in the properties there. Zhu Wenda, the product manager of Honghai Company, says that if she likes the place, he'll buy it. Even though he's not attractive, he managed to get girlfriends simply because he's wealthy. The woman looks at everyone around, calling them losers. On the terrace, a woman shows the property to Mu Li and the previous couple. The place has various attractions and convenient transportation options nearby. It's a popular property, and even before the pre-sale, many people were already interested, almost buying everything available. Mu Li asks her to continue talking about the place, saying help buy the unit on the highest floor, the one facing the sun, and price is not an issue. Hearing this, the woman with her wealthy boyfriend is intrigued by his words. At that moment, she lowers her sunglasses and recognizes Mulai, who looks at her and realizes he knows her from somewhere. Her name was Jo Mong, and she had studied with Mulai in high school, where he used to follow her around, always trying to please her. The girl asked if he's really planning to buy a house there, despite coming from a very poor family without enough money. This reminds him that she was the one who used to coax him into taking money from home to buy her sweets and watch movies. To her, Mulai was just someone who did everything she asked, like a good little puppy. Seeing his old classmate, he wonders how many plastic surgeries she had to undergo to look like that. While watching her insist on buying the same sweet he intended for his mother and sister, this forces him to pull out his card, stating he'll pay for the property in full immediately. The receptionist looks at Jo Mai awkwardly, explaining that only one suite is available, and that the young man had requested it first. She suggests they look at other properties of similar quality to the intended suite. Zhao Mei gets angry, asking the receptionist not to believe the boy, claiming she knows him and that Nu Lai doesn't have enough money, unlike her and her boyfriend, who could pay half the amount up front. Ma swipes his card to prove that he does have the money for the suite, but the transaction fails, and the woman asks if he might have entered the wrong PIN. Seeing this, the girl remarks that she warned them from the start that he wouldn't be able to afford it. However, he decides to make the bank transfer through his phone, assuming his card might have hit its credit limit. He successfully transfers the money in one go. The receptionist confirms the deposit. Watching this, Jiaomai starts to wonder how he suddenly became so wealthy. Determined to use her charm, she convinces her boyfriend that they must get the suite at any cost. Embarrassed and unsure, he reluctantly agrees her demand. He approaches a man named Xiaowen. Xiaowen questions Zuenda about purchasing a property without informing him first. Zuenda explains that he came to buy a house, but the one he wanted was no longer available, so he sought Xiaowen's help. Hearing this, Xiaowen agrees to assist him, as he is the sales manager of the establishment. He approaches Mulai to discuss the matter. Ak Shi-wan offers a 20% discount on another house in the neighborhood in exchange for the suite. Mulai declines, shaking his head. Xue Owen then asks if Mu Li knows where he is, emphasizing that this property belongs to the Yu family. Implies that they could refuse to sell anything to Mulai if he doesn't accept the deal, issuing a thinly veiled threat. At that moment, a member of the Yu family, accompanied by two secretaries, walks by discussing a meeting. He reflects on the properties that seem to be doing well that month. Then he glances over and notices Mulai speaking with his manager. The manager is still trying to persuade Mulai give up the sweep. Yu raises his hand and starts a conversation with Mulai, trying to catch his attention. Zhao Mei and her boyfriend watch bewildered by the respectful way Yu is treating the boy. Yu Xiaoxiang mentions that he previously encountered Mulai with Xiaotong leaving the subway he was driving that day. Immediately, Mulai remembers who he is and asks if Yu Xiaoxiang could help him purchase the house since he's facing some issues. Yu Xiaoxiang's expression darkens, and he shouts, asking who dares to disrespect a great benefactor of his family. The manager explains it's because of Mr. Zhu. Realizing his mistake, Zhu Wende apologizes to Mulai for not recognizing someone so important. admitting he was entirely in the wrong. Yu Seok-xiang warns Zhu that attempting such actions again will lead to severe consequences. Zhao Mei watches the scene in disbelief, remembering when she had Mu Lei wrapped around her finger. But she is suddenly slapped. Her boyfriend calls her a whore, blaming her for causing the whole problem. The couple leaves, having unintentionally offended the Yu family. Yu Seok-xiang apologizes to Mulai, who simply says there's no need to worry as you won't press charges. The next day, he takes his mother and sister to their new home. His mother worries about the amount of money he spent on them, but he assures her that he can handle everything now. At that moment, someone knocks on the suite door. It's a young man named Chen Long who lives next door, introducing himself to the new neighbors. Ken Long approaches Muli's sister, asking if they'd met before because she seems familiar. Mulai calls him aside for a private conversation. Ken Long, puzzled, asks what the problem is. Mulai warns him that if he gets near his sister again, he'll regret it. As Chen Long listens to the threat, he tries to explain it's a misunderstanding, revealing they don't yet understand the situation of the place. This piques Muli's interest about what could be wrong with their new suite. Chen Long whispers that there's a ghost haunting the property. He recalls noticing something strange when he first moved in, feeling a presence watching him in his room. One night, he saw lanterns outside as it started raining. Just as he lay in bed, a woman suddenly appeared and embraced him. He recounts that he jumped out of bed, screaming to expel the ghost, grabbing a lamp to defend himself from the apparition. But after that, he couldn't remember anything else from that day. Moodle asks why he couldn't remember. The guy explains that the next day, he was beaten up by a woman and had to pay for medical bills and the work she did that night. The boy smacks his forehead, realizing that the story wasn't about a ghost, but about him being drunk. However, Chen Long says the story isn't over yet. He mentions that the following day, he heard someone knocking on his bedroom window, a woman in a white dress, whispering softly. She then made a terrifying face and asked to come into his house. Since that day, Chen Long says strange things have been happening in his room for several consecutive nights, and if it continued, he would have to sell the property. Hearing this, Mulai decides he needs to do something to ensure his family's peace. He asks Shenlong for the keys to the place, assuring him that he will resolve the problem. Grateful, Shenlong hands over the keys without hesitation, relieved to have found someone willing to help. Later that night, Mulai waits in bed until something catches his attention. From the window, a sudden blue light appears. Then a mysterious woman floats in one corner of the room. Mulai, unfazed, simply asks the ghost what she's doing in the middle of the night. She replies with a macabre expression, saying she has lost her legs. The wind starts to blow stronger as the ghost asks if she can take his legs. He responds sarcastically, asking why he would give her his legs when she doesn't even have shoes to wear, being a ghost. This leaves her confused and speechless. With no response from her, Mulai turns away, saying he's going back to sleep. She lunges at him, declaring that if he won't give his legs willingly, she'll take them by force. However, as she does so, she takes an unexpected hit on her head, even though she has no physical body. She ends up sitting on the mattress, crying like a child as Mulai remarks that he can hit ghosts if necessary. The ghost then decides to bite him like a vampire, but he grabs her arm and gently touches her forehead, testing something with his fingertips. This heals her spirit, transforming her instantly. She now appears as a normal girl with a ribbon in her hair. She asks Mulai why he isn't afraid of her. Mulai says there's nothing to fear because he knows she doesn't have a bad heart, then asks for more details about her. However, she doesn't seem willing to share much about herself with a stranger. But remembering what he did to help her, he demands she tell him who she is immediately. Trembling with fear, she begins to introduce herself. Her name is Zhang Xiaozi, and 2 years ago, she was just a freshman at Bayside University. She explains that before, no houses were built on the site. It was just a desolate area. She used the place as a shortcut, but one day she accidentally fell into a construction pit, broke her leg, and died alone. Curious Moodley asks what she was thinking before she died, and if there's anything she wishes for. The girl explains that when she was a child, her parents always fought, and after their divorce, she was separated from her beloved sister. She stayed with her father, an alcoholic and gambling addict, who frequently beat her while spewing nonsense. But her sister would visit, bringing delicious food even after dropping out of school to work and pay for her education. When Zhang Xiaoji was in high school, her drunk father fell into a river, and her mother couldn't help her. Her sister was the best in the world, and just thinking about her filled her heart with anxiety. She didn't want to die because her sister had worked so hard to make her life easier, and she wanted to find a way to repay her sister's love. After dying, she tried to fly to her sister, but every attempt made her feel like her soul was collapsing, trapping her there. Her greatest wish was to see her sister again. Mulai, listening silently, touches her head and tells her not to worry because he knows a way to free her from the place. Hearing this, Zhang Xiaozi asks if what he's saying is true, excited by the idea of finally leaving the place and seeing her dear sister again. And seeing the ghost girl's eyes light up, he begins to explain a few things about the Z-Way's stellar heavenly training method. Fallen immortal could continue to train by either isolating themselves to repair their body or harnessing the power of heaven and earth to restore their flesh and reshape their own body. But at the same time, it would be another way, by abandoning their flesh and training only their soul, which they called the ghost training method. He explained that not only could he take her away from there, but he could also bring the girl back to life. And hearing this, she agrees to his plan, saying that if he could save her, she would do anything he asked in the future. He explains that her soul was unstable, and that over time, it would fade away. But with his training method, she could strengthen her soul and acquire some abilities. One of those abilities being the creation of a new body, almost equivalent to being reborn. Zhang Xiaoji is enchanted by the mysterious air of everything she cares, while Moodle promises to help her on the condition that she would obey his orders in the future, planning to use her to protect his mother. Misunderstanding and thinking the boy was a pervert, she asks if he would want her to call him master, becoming his slave now. But he says she could just call him Mulai. The girl thanks the boy, saying that once she regained a human form, she would repay that debt in the way he wanted. But hearing this, he asks the girl to stand up. She stands up and asks if something was wrong, not understanding his sudden request. He then asks her to stand straight and look down, and asks the girl what she could see. Still confused, she says she couldn't see anything beyond her feet. Realizing at that moment that the boy was mocking her for not having a chest, she looks at him angrily, calling her a flat-chested little girl, to avoid talking about such topics in the future. He curses the boy, realizing she had been made a fool, and charges at him with a rage that shook the entire building, causing an earthquake in the place. The next morning, he returns to his home, and his neighbor asks if he was okay or if he had seen the ghost. Mu says he had kept his word and that the ghost would never appear in front of him again. At that moment, he notices that the place no longer had the same aura, and he thanks for that as he walks back home, relieved that the problem had been solved. Mulai realizes he hadn't rested properly because he had helped the girl all night, and he remembers the enchantment he had performed repeatedly, touching the girl's head with his 2 fingers to strengthen her soul. After a while, he asks her how she was feeling, and she now seemed more lively and stronger. With that, he tells the girl to leave his neighbor's room, as he had promised him to get rid of the ghost that was her. Zhang Xiaozhi then asks if she could now go see her sister with her fortified soul. But Mulai explains that she still couldn't go far, asking her to write on a sheet what she wanted to say to her sister. Deciding to deliver the letter from his new friend, he calls someone who gives him details about where to find Zhang Xiaoji's sister. He thanks for the help as he finds himself in front of a place called Suanmingshan, and he remembers this place as the best tea house in the city, with a rather high price per cup. In his past life, he dreamed of going to a place like this, and enters the place afterward, being greeted by a woman who asks him which tea he would like, and if he preferred to prepare it himself or just have it ready. Mu Li asks her if a girl named Xiao Qin worked there, and the woman informs him that she was the best tea maker in the house, asking if he would like her to prepare one for him. But he declines her offer, as the woman calls Xiao Qin over to them. She appears, asking what her coworker needed, and she finds Mulai looking at her, handing her a letter, saying that someone had asked him to deliver it to her a long time ago. She opens the piece of paper and realizes who the message was from, while he explains that in the past, a girl in the ambulance had asked him to give it to her, but he had forgotten. The woman starts crying, reading the message from her deceased sister, kneeling on the ground while mourning her death. Seeing this, he realizes he needs to become stronger to avoid experiencing the sudden death of a loved one. But the manager of the establishment appears, informing her that 2 people had arrived, and she needed to prepare a good tea for them. The girl apologizes to her boss, saying she was feeling a bit unwell and wouldn't be able to prepare good tea at the moment. Not understanding, the man asks what happened, trying to convince the girl to serve the customers, allowing her to go home afterward. But she repeats that she truly couldn't prepare anything in her current state. He gets furious upon hearing this, questioning whether she was refusing to obey his order to work. Muley interrupts him, asking to let her rest as he would prepare the customer's tea himself, doing this as a favor for Xiaobei. The man hearing this doubts his capabilities, saying that preparing tea wasn't an easy task. But Mulai says he had learned from Xiaoqin how to do it, which surprises the girl beside him. He takes her arm and explains that she wasn't in a condition to work and might even cause more problems for the man. Leaving the boss with no choice, he asks Mulai to follow him, hoping nothing bad would happen. They walk through the establishment together until they meet two elderly men, both staring at each other with hatred for some reason, being Zhang Liao and Lai Liao. Mulai sits down to prepare the tea, and as he begins to prepare their drink, he starts hearing a discussion where one believed internal strength was superior to external strength, while the other completely disagrees, saying the opposite. Zhang stands up, slamming his hand on the table upon hearing what he considered absurd, but he notices a strange smell suddenly filling the air. Looking to the side, he observes the unknown boy preparing their tea, analyzing the tea on the table. Zhang Lao notices the tea's aroma was quiet and ethereal, comparable to a feeling of tranquility and fluidity, as if floating in a sea of clouds, and upon tasting it, he becomes extremely fascinated. It was a cup of tea so good that he hadn't tasted one like it in years. Lai Liao also notices the quality of the drink and asks if the boy was new there, wanting to know who he was. Muli quotes a passage from the Ming Dynasty book by Chen Jiro about the importance of tea, and how it could help the two of them understand each other, making both realize that through the effort of preparing something of that kind, the boy surely had involvement with martial arts. And they asked Mulai which was better, external strength or internal strength, seeking a third opinion similar to the Ming Dynasty passage. Donglao says that no matter what the boy knew, he was still too young to understand the depth of their discussion, causing them to resume their endless debate, repeating the same things over and over. Mulai beside them was displeased with the noise the two elderly men were making in a tea house, which should be a quieter place, and he finally decides to give his direct opinion on what they were thinking, saying that in truth, of them was right in the discussion. The establishment's manager appears at the room's edge, trying to understand why the shouting had suddenly stopped, and Xiao Qian, on her way home, wonders if the boy would manage to handle the two troublesome old men. Now silent, they look at the boy, adopting a more serious posture, saying they had been debating that for ages if the boy disagreed with both, asking him to explain his statement. Nulai says both had advantages and disadvantages, which balanced the two techniques, and that all training methods had their own truth of existence, as they shared the same purpose, to follow universe's natural path, Tao. The two ask what Tao that was, and the boy says it was the natural path of the universe to achieve eternity, a phrase that shocks both at the same time. Zhang Lao says eternity was the same as immortality, calling Mulai a bold young man for trying to deceive the two elders with such talk. The boy continues, saying that through martial arts there was no ultimate strength, advising both to practice both techniques to improve. Hearing this, the elder says that young people these days tended to be more fanciful, as everyone who tried that failed afterward. And Mulai says that people who think they are strong always maintain their stance until something contradicts their position, underestimating everything they believe. He opens the window and points his palm outside while the two ask what he was going to do. He replies that he would demonstrate a bit of his strength to convince them he was telling the truth, holding a leaf and levitating it with the tip of two fingers, then tossing it toward the ground, creating a cut in the surface with just that, leaving the two elders in disbelief at what they were seeing. They witnessed the scene, where Mulai demonstrates his internal strength. Immediately afterward, he grabs a utensil and pins it to the table, also demonstrating his external strength. The elders comment on the boy being a true master, while he, indifferent to the title, simply thought people always underestimated him at first. Zhang Liao apologizes for the disrespect of even opening his mouth in the presence of a talented master like him. But the boy tries to explain that he was merely trying to say both types of training are possible to execute and important. The elder asks his name, to which the boy replies, Mulai. Gong Lao, calling him master, asks if the boy would like to have that tea house, offering to donate his establishment. Mulai explains that he only knew someone working there who wasn't feeling well, so he covered her shift. This catches the old man's attention, realizing someone there already knew about the mysterious boy, and he decides to ask if the person he knew there was the girl named Zhang Xiaoqin. He affirms this to the elder, who, upon hearing this, believes he has been blessed by God, because the girl has a close relationship with a young master. Outside the room, the manager finds the unusual silence inside strange. He paces back and forth, imagining the worst scenarios, fearing the two elders might have gotten furious for some sudden reason. But interrupting his thoughts, someone descends the stairs. He turns to find Mulai leaving the room and asks if the clients were satisfied with the service. Mulai responds that everything was resolved because he explained the two clients were wrong and convinced them with arguments. Hearing this, the manager is shocked, thinking the worst. As he watches the boy leave the establishment as if nothing had happened, he wonders what gave such a boy the courage to argue with his two clients as he anxiously climbs the stairs. Entering the room fearful of being fired, he immediately apologizes, explaining that the boy was new and didn't yet know the house rules. If the two were unsatisfied, he could go down and teach that stinky boy a lesson, cutting his pay and firing him afterward. But Lai Liao, hearing this, tells Zhang Liao that if Master Mu heard that, things would get awkward for him. The manager, not knowing who this master was, asks who they were talking about. In another act of disrespect, Zhang Liao slams the table in anger, his eyes bulging like a madman, breaking the table in half and spilling his beloved tea on the floor. Fearing the possibility that Master Mu might have heard such words from his own employee, he shouts at the man that he didn't need a mouth to make such a mess all at once, as just his backside was enough. And Lai Lao tells the man that the stinky boy he was going to teach a lesson to was none other than the Master Mu they had been discussing. With the conversation concluded, the elder tells the manager that if Master Mu returns, he must show the utmost respect, remembering that Zhang Xiaoqin was a good person. He decides she will be in charge of the tea house from now on. Elsewhere, later that day, Mu Lei goes to Zhang Xiaoqin's house. The girl says that whenever she thinks about her sister, she feels very sad. Mu Lei tries to comfort her, saying her late sister had said being her sister was the greatest happiness of her life, asking her not to feel that way, as perhaps she could see her sister again someday in the future. But she, crying, says he doesn't need to try to comfort her, because she saw the cremation of the body with her own eyes, making it impossible to see someone who has already died. With tears in her eyes, she turns to the boy, and she realizes he had already left, not even giving her a chance to thank him for what he had done. In his room shortly afterward, the ghost girl was rummaging through everything in the room, spotting a porcelain jar made of jade. Mulai arrives and explains to her that this jar would be her new home in the future. She seizes the moment to bombard the boy with questions, wanting to know more about where he had learned those things. The boy, hearing all this, asks her since when she had so many questions, and Zhang Xiaozi says she had many more beyond those, because she knew that in a man's room, there were things that shouldn't be seen. One of them being the various small yellow books hidden under his bed. Hearing this, he immediately tries to trap her inside the jar, ending the conversation. But the girl didn't seem very willing to stay inside, while his sister appeared at his door to see if he was inside. He then stops yelling at the ghost girl, who pushes the jar against his chest, trying to take advantage of the situation to escape, heading in the opposite direction. But she fails and is trapped inside the jar, while Mu Li's sister opens the door at the same moment and tells him to be more discreet. He asks what she's talking about, to which she replies that everyone could hear the noise coming from his room, and that if she found out it was a woman, she wouldn't forgive her brother. Nulai, embarrassed, asks if she needed anything to change the subject, and she says that a man named Yue Xiaochong was looking for him because the medicine he had ordered had finally arrived. Hearing this, he decides to see the man immediately, turning to the jar and begging the ghost girl not to leave in the meantime. She shakes around, saying she didn't want to suffocate in there, trying to get out somehow. Because of this, his sister hears strange noises coming from his room again as she descends the stairs, asking what he's doing. But he replies that he's coming down to speak with his visitor, while simultaneously dealing with his new, rebellious ghost friend. Meeting with Mr. Yuxiaxiang, he hears the man inform him that this was the first-century-old remedy they had found. He then opens the box to take a look, and comments on the old ginseng, looking good, thanking the man for delivering it to him. But Yue Xiong says there's no need to thank him as the boy had saved his grandfather's life, now being the savior of his family, saying they had already sent some people to buy that medicinal herb from Huaxia, and more would soon be delivered to him. Concerned about causing trouble for the man, he says that once he finds them all, he will pay for them and the effort. However, Yu Xiaoxiang insists that the savior of his family doesn't need to pay for anything, and he changes the subject immediately, pulling something from his pocket. It's an invitation letter for the elder's 60th birthday, where it would be nice to have Muli's presence on the day. Muli assures him that he will certainly attend the elder's birthday. Later that night, under a full moon in the city, Moodle appears meditating to accomplish something in his room. He then opens his eyes, holding the medicinal herb delivered earlier by Yufxia Akshan. He takes a nibble of it just to understand more about it, and Zhang Xiaozhe emerges from the jar, seeing the scene with a concerned expression. She asks if the boy is sick to be eating that dry, but he doesn't nervous her as he is deep in meditation, commenting on how mortals are incapable of absorbing the properties of such a herb. However, he can do it without any problem, finishing his training and finding his ghost friend in front of him, asking what he had finished, catching him off guard. She approaches him without saying anything, asking if he could at least hear what she was saying while placing her hand on his forehead to see if he was sick. In that moment, Dizzy looks at her chest, lost in thought, while she says she's afraid that it might not be just a common herb. But he removes her hand from his forehead, embarrassed, and orders her never to interrupt his training again. And while thinking nonsense, he says that, as punishment, she will guard the house alone that night. However, she disagrees with the idea and says people need to go out and have fun occasionally. Mulai then holds the jar and tells the girl to obey him without forcing her to do what he wanted. With that threat, she decides to follow his orders. Returning to the jar, the boy then goes to his sister, calling her for a conversation, making her ask if something had happened. He says he needed to tell her something, asking them to have dinner together at the most famous restaurant in Baizhou. This makes his sister blush, turning her face away without saying anything. Some time passes, and the two head to the place. They enter the restaurant called Guyu together, while one of the guards loudly announces that the martial arts sect would be gathering there, so they needed to work properly that night. His sister and he sit at one of the tables, while she holds the menu and shares some facts about the place's history, being a historical site. Besides its history, the food at this place was also wonderful. However, while saying all this, she notices the prices of the dishes, realizing that even the simplest food was extremely expensive for an average person. But her brother interrupts, telling the waitress they would like several meals combining various items from the menu. The waitress then asks them to wait a moment while taking back the menu from his sister's hands. She remembers that her brother had become quite rich suddenly. Mulai also says, luckily their mother hadn't arrived yet, as she would be shocked to see him spending so much money so quickly. But at that moment, something catches his attention, making him turn his gaze toward a conversation between two people entering. They are Li Feng and Zhuan Yuan, discussing their recent trip to the emperor's capital with their father, making a special visit to Zhou Deshu. While they converse, Mulei also notices Zhao Xiang nearby. The hostess then appears, informing them that they had taken the wrong table, asking them to move as that table was already reserved. His sister doesn't mind, as mistakes happen. She then calls her brother to move, but for some reason he doesn't seem to hear her. She stands up and tries to pull her brother by the arm as two of the people who had just arrived approach her, and one of them ends up slapping her on the rear, asking the beautiful lady her family name as he hadn't seen her at past gatherings, complimenting her, saying he would surely remember her face if he had seen her before. At that moment, Mulai, witnessing everything, prepares his usual lethal attack, throwing himself between them, stating they were at the wrong table, as they were just a normal family of ordinary people. Another man in his suit approaches asking why the rush to leave, introducing himself as the host of the upcoming meeting named Wu Kaming. He comments on fate bringing them there on that particular day, asking them to sit down to avoid disrespecting him. The guy who had slapped Muxin's rear calls Wu Qiming young master, respectfully commenting on his rapid progress in training. But Wu Qiming says that in fact he was quite slow despite being ahead of most people. Muxin remarks that those people didn't seem good, suggesting they stick down, but her brother tells her not to be afraid, while the guy hands her a corporate credit card, saying he'd like to get to know her better when they had more time. Wu Qiming walks away to talk with someone else, and Mu Li takes the card from the guy, saying he would hold on to it for his sister. The guy then points a finger in his face, saying he had tolerated his presence long enough, asking who the hell Mulai was. Receiving a knee straight to the stomach, powerful as a gunshot, sending the man flying into the wall, coughing up blood. Wu Kaming, hearing the noise, asks what's happening, finding his friend defeated on the floor. Looking mad at Mulai, who responds to his earlier question, stating his and his sister's family name. Muxin starts to wonder how her brother had become so strong. The guy sitting on the floor complains about getting kicked, and Mu Li keeps confronting him, asking if he was going to do something about it, with his hands still in his pockets. Some people comment on never having heard of the boy's family, asking if he was related to Mu Hanan, the owner of the establishment, for daring to cause such a scene in front of them. By hearing this, he counters the question, asking who had told him that. Meanwhile, Wu Qiming, bewildered by everything, tries to grasp the situation. A few people exit the nearby elevator, and they come upon the scene also questioning if Li Fang had been beaten up, finding it hard to believe. He now felt humiliated for the first time in his life. He grabs a chair with his hands and decides to go hand to hand, shouting that he didn't care if Mu Lai was from the family of Emperor Mu Hanan, because that night would be unforgettable. But he ends up taking another kick, this time square in the face, knocking him completely to the ground defeated. Wu Kai-ming asks Mu Lai not to treat him with disrespect, stating that this was a gathering for all the young masters of Bijao, saying that his sister wasn't anything special, and that her associating with someone like Liu Feng could even be beneficial for his family. Ordering them to apologize to his friend to end the fight, Mu Lai looks at him, flashing a sarcastic smile that seems to unsettle Wu Qiming, asking who the hell he thought he was and why he needed to treat that guy with respect. This shocks the onlookers, seeing Wu Qiming being disrespected like a mere nobody. Wu Qiming, hearing all this, starts to declare that since he alone couldn't make the boy behave, perhaps all the gathered masters could. But he fails miserably with that statement, trying to assert dominance over Mu Lai, who remains completely unfazed. This causes Wu Kai to emit a blue aura from his body, stating that he had seen how ruthless Mu Lai was and knew he wasn't an ordinary opponent, challenging him to a fight where if Mu Lai won, he could stay there as long as he wanted without anyone minding. But if he lost, Wu Kai-ming would claim all of his training for himself. Hearing this, Mu Li flashes a grin, eager for the chaos, accepting the challenge immediately. However, his sister tugs at his shirt from behind and asks if he could really win the fight. He says he had already defeated Bijiao's invincible hand so she could trust him, but clearly worried, she asks her brother to be careful. Meanwhile, Liu Feng shouts for his friend to cripple Mu Lai so he can never walk again, urging him to kill him. Wu Kaving then makes the first move, charging at him. He leaves with both fists emanating blue flames, calling him a piece of trash. But before he could land the blow, someone yells for the fight to stop. Wu Kai-ming's punch is countered by someone who pushes him back, and realizing who it is, he utters the name Yuk Xiaotong. She, showing no sign of effort in blocking the attack, asks him who the piece of trash he was talking about was. Liu Feng also looks surprised to see the girl there, especially defending the person who had just beaten him. But she merely stares at them all, confident in her actions. Trying to hit an emotional chord, Wu Qiming questions why she was there, instead of helping her supposedly begrudging grandfather. However, she asks him who told him that, as her grandfather was in perfect health. Her brother then appears, stating not only was he well, but he would be celebrating his birthday in a few days. Moreover, Wu Qiming had invited all the young masters of the city's wealthy families. Their presence, there was no surprise. Seeing even Yu Shaxiang present, he starts questioning the information he had about their family, remembering that his own father had ambushed the Yu family, destroying the old man's medicine, who was supposedly awaiting death in his bed. Contemplating the possibility that they had all been lying from the start, Yu grows furious with the situation, but he manages to maintain his composure, congratulating them on their grandfather's recovery. He asks what they were thinking for the girl to block his attacks. Yu Shitong explains it was obviously to save his life, because the day Mu Lai met Wu Kai-ming's father, he beat the man mercilessly. People hearing this start questioning if he had really beat Mu Han, the famous Eagle Claw. The boy hearing this tells them to stop bluffing like that. But Yu Xiaotong warns him that he should be more mindful of what he said about other people's families. And indeed, his father had been badly beaten by Mu Lai, still fearing him to this day and being warned not to mess with the boy again. Quoting an old saying, if you don't want to die, then don't even dare. She then warns everyone that if anyone else messes with Mr. Mu, she will mobilize all her family's forces to end that person's life, making Mu Lai smile upon hearing that. Wu Kai-ming recalls that his family already had a hostile relationship with the Yu family, but that was still a secret. There was no need to disrupt the current peace between the two families over a mere child. Liu Feng, incredulous, counters all the girl's threats, who was trying to protect Mu Lai at all costs, prompting the crowd around him to anticipate more chaos, while Wu Kai-ming watched in disbelief, saying he just wanted to have a peaceful party, but unfortunately, that didn't seem possible. Muxin's phone rings at that moment and she answers a call from their mother, who asks where their family was seated. She tugs at her brother's shirt again, telling him their mother was waiting at the entrance, and they couldn't keep her waiting any longer. The two exchange glances, and Muxin pulls him away from the commotion while he bids farewell to the Yu family. But Liu Feng steps into his path again, pointing his finger at him, only to be met with another kick to the face, and it came flying. The siblings leave the venue and enter the elevator, and his sister comments on how incredible her brother seemed. Mulai says she could add a bit more enthusiasm to her voice when complimenting him. The girl then, hearing this, does exactly as he asks, widening her eyes and repeating the sentence, pretending to be even more impressed and delighted, which makes him immediately realize that his sister was very good at being two-faced. 5 minutes earlier, a certain man arrived at the venue asking where the host of the gathering, Wu Keiming, might be. The receptionist informs him that the 5th floor had been reserved by the man he was looking for, while she is captivated by his charm. He thanks her politely, entering the building accompanied by an older individual. This person is Mike Tian, who joins him in the elevator shortly afterward and takes the opportunity to ask why he, having already been promoted in the master rankings, would bother attending such a party. Liu Pengfei responds that the world is vast, and many talents could be found in such a place. Only the youth could represent the future of an era, and all he wanted was to see if the rumors about Beizu's talents were true. Exiting the elevator, he encounters Mulai and Ma Xin, and something catches his attention at that moment. He stares at the two as they pass by. Fai Qian asks what's wrong, but the young man merely says it's nothing significant. The two enter the 5th floor, seeing a gathering of people in the center of the room. Liu Pengfei politely arrives, asking for everyone's attention for a brief moment. All eyes turn to him, and Wu Keiming asks how he can assist him, immediately noticing the imposing aura of the person, making it clear he wasn't from a family residing in Baizhou. It made the day even more unpleasant, as after resolving one issue, another quickly emerged without any break. He introduces himself, stating his family name. Wu Keiming feels relieved that, at least, this one is more polite than Niulai, saying that visitors from afar were also friends, inviting him to come and chat to learn more about the person. The girls in the room were captivated by the mysterious man who had arrived, while Yu Xiaotong looked at them, unable to believe how women acted like that because of a man. But her brother, hearing this, says she acted the same way whenever Mulai was around. Hearing this, she turns her face away. Embarrassed, denying all her brother's accusations, who've seen her reaction says she had already given herself away. Liu Pengfei comments on having heard rumors about the Wu family, was preparing for all the young masters of Bijou, and that he was curious about the new generation in the area, having heard they were full of rare talents, wanting to see that firsthand. Wu Keiming, hearing this, asks what he thought of the masters there, hoping for some free compliments. But the young man says that everyone there, without exception, nothing but a bunch of trash. This sudden statement leaves everyone shocked. Meanwhile, on the 3rd floor, Mu Li and his family were having dinner, while his mother complained about him spending so much money, saying that if she had known, she wouldn't have come. She also scolded them for having their phones on the table all the time, claiming it was bad for their eyes. But suddenly, someone interrupts their dinner by shouting Nu Li's name. Yuk Xiaoxiang comes running towards them. Seeing his friend, Nu Li asks what the problem is. The man says it's not good. Something bad has happened on the 5th floor. Wu Keiming and the other masters begin confronting the man who had disrespected them all. But without showing any fear, Liu Pengfei continues to belittle everyone's skills, saying it's a shame the rumors were just exaggerations, expressing extreme disappointment in their strength. Liu Feng, cursing the man as arrogant, charges at him eager to get another kick in the face, charging at him immediately, claiming he would teach this person a lesson on what it means to be a real man. But to his surprise, he doesn't receive a kick. Instead, he gets a slap right in the middle of his face, knocking him to the ground. Liu Pengfei then comments that the small fry were done, asking when the real opponents would show up. Hearing this, Wu Keiming decides to attack. He advances with his eagle claw, targeting Liu Pengfei's blind spot, but that doesn't seem to surprise the man, who simply blocks the attack with a fan, stating that such a move wouldn't be enough, sending Wu Keiming flying into the wall, making him wonder how he couldn't even touch the man. Liu Pengfei asks if the boy could now admit that Baizhang's martial artists were all a bunch of trash. But Yu Xiaotong appears, seemingly knowing who he is, mentioning Jiangnan province where his family resides. She asks if he's really willing to challenge all the masters present in Baijiang. Hearing this, The man is surprised that his family's reputation had reached such a distant place. He talks about his journey to Beizhou, only to be extremely disappointed upon arrival. One of the girls asks Yu Seotong who exactly this person is. She explains that in every era, there's a group of individuals with talents far superior to ordinary people. They are considered candidates to become martial gods, with a high chance of reaching that level. All candidates possess very high training levels, with even the weakest among them reaching at least the pinnacle of martial arts. This shocks the girl beside her, realizing who was in front of them, and she asks if there is anyone capable of dealing with a man. Yu Seotong asks Lu Pengfei if he doesn't fear that someone in Baijiao might be capable of defeating him. The young man responds that he isn't trying to belittle Baijiao's martial artists, but they are even weaker than Baiyang's masters. During his journey through all the provinces, the people in Baijiao were the weakest he had encountered so far. The girl, hearing this, clenches her fists, and he asks if she intends to fight him right there. Yu Shifatong knows she won't win, but still can't let the man insult everyone and walk away unpunished, preparing a punch. Everyone tells her to be careful as she advances. She delivers her punch, which only sends her flying backward. It's a weak blow for Lu Pengfei. Everyone decides to charge at him together, seeing the girl bleeding. But she stops them from advancing, saying that Baijiao does have a genius, but she isn't sure if he could handle this particular person, trying to buy time for her brother to call Mu Lai on the 3rd floor. Hearing this, Liu Pengfei seems curious to meet such a person. Along with everyone else who didn't know someone as powerful as Liu Pengfei was present, Yu Xiaokeoxun then appears with Mu Lai. He sees his sister on the ground, bleeding, and rushes to help her, taking out some medication from his pocket. He informs her that he has already called Master Mu and that she needs to take the pill quickly to repair her meridians. Lu Pengfei turns to Mu Late, asking if he is the savior of the day, and Mu Lei replies that he has heard about the offenses Lu Pengfei made against the local masters, while expressing his disappointment with everyone, which confirms everything he had said earlier, adding that he wasn't sure if Mu Lei could really make him regret his own words. Hearing this, Mu Lai challenges Lu Pengfei, saying he would stand still, and if Lu could make him take even a single step back, he would win. This seems to excite Lu Pengfei. He declares he will use all his strength, not just to make Mu Lai step back, but to send him flying far away, warning that Mu Lai shouldn't blame him if he ends up dead as he get asked for it. Lu Pengfei prepares an attack with the aura of a giant serpent appearing behind him, impressing everyone watching with technique. Even Mu Lai, for the first time, is intrigued by the strike, noting that Liu Pengfei seemed to be using some legendary moves, such as the Shadow Snake Palm. But despite being a great move, it didn't matter much, because the result of the fight would be the same as always. He then prepares a punch, channeling energy to counter the attack, leading to a clash between the two. The audience starts wondering about the level of these two, and if what they were witnessing was even possible, until Lu Pengfei loses the clash and is sent flying backward with great force. His body crashes into his uncle, Mai Khan, who asks Mu Lai how he dared to harm the young master like that. His nephew admits he wasn't as strong as he thought, having once met a man capable of ending the world with a single punch. He had even tried to become his disciple, but the man was in a hurry to leave, making it the biggest mistake of his life. Since Mu Lai's strike was as powerful as that man's punch, he asks if they knew each other. Mu Lai replies that he didn't know him, but would like to meet the man someday. However, he still needed to know if Liu Pengfei thought everyone there was trash. But Yue Xiaotong interrupts asking for his help, saying she didn't want to take the pill because the last time she took one, her body felt extremely strange. Her brother tries to explain that last time she took a physical strengthening pill, and all of it were just the side effects, but she insists she take it because she doesn't want to feel weird again. He explains that this time it's a recovery pill, and that if she doesn't take it, her meridians will be permanently damaged. Mu Lai, observing the scene, tells Yu Xiaoxiang that he will handle it. The boy approaches his friend, who complains about the pain in her body. Mu Lai tells her she's badly hurt, but she doesn't need to be afraid as everything will be fine, pointing 2 fingers at her while conjuring something. She screams in pain but realizes it's soothing, understanding that if she trusts him, it will heal her wounds. Thanking him for his help, everyone stops what they're doing to watch the two of them, prompting Mu Lai to ask if they needed help too, clearly annoyed. Wu Kai-ming gives a thumbs up, thanking him for proving that the people of Beizhou weren't trash. They comment on Liu Pengfei being the 10th most promising candidate to become a martial god, and an event like this could turn martial arts into a new local hype. possibly boosting the area's reputation significantly. Liu Pengfei, in the background, struggles to stand while coughing, admitting that Mulai was strong enough for him not to understand why his name wasn't on the list of candidates to become a martial god. Because with that strength, he had enough qualifications to compete, even with Emperor Huangfuan. Yu Xiaotong, hearing this, mentions that the emperor was a martial arts genius with a great reputation in Huaxia, reaching the pinnacle in just 2 years. No matter how hard the new generation trained, he was unparalleled. However, Mulai was even more talented than him. Liu Pengfei comments that while Mulai might be strong, the imperial capital still had many hidden figures lurking silently. And Mulai asks how many master-level individuals there were in Huaxia, recalling his first day of training, where he could already compare himself with Huaxia's local master, and thinking the masters might have a level similar to Yuan Danqi. He wasn't sure about the exact number of martial artists in Huaxia, but at the master level, the number was scarce, not exceeding 20 at most. However, there were other masters in the imperial capital, most of them from noble families, and in Emperor Mu's family alone. There were 6 or 7. Hearing this, Muli asks about the number of masters in the imperial city, making Liu Pengfei realize that the boy simply wasn't interested in being recognized as a master. Due to the pain in his body, he decides to retreat to recover his meridians before it's too late, bidding farewell to Mulai respectfully, saying that if he ever had the chance to visit Jiangdan, he would be warmly welcomed. But for now, he needed to leave as he had other matters to attend to. He then departs clearly still feeling the effects of the fight. Everyone watches him leave after all that had transpired. Mulai tells Yu Xiaotom that he's leaving because his mother is waiting for him, and the girl grabs his arm, deciding to go with him, waving goodbye to her brother, who watches tearfully as his sister grows closer to Master Mu. They head towards the elevator, while Mulai reflects on how everyone still doesn't realize he isn't a martial artist. He could be the leader of something within the Confederate Alliance, but he couldn't lend himself to just that. On another day, Muli appears in his room, asking his ghost friend to come out of the jar. But for some reason, she seems unwilling, making him ask what had happened. Suddenly, she appears behind him, informing him that she hadn't stayed in the jar because she had been outside for a while. Confused, he asks how she managed that. She reminds him that he had taught her some basic ghost training techniques before. Inside the jar, it was so dark, empty, and cold that he couldn't expect her to stay there doing nothing. So she decided to start training. Besides, the boy wasn't even poor, so it wouldn't hurt to buy a bigger jar for her to live in. Being stuck in there for so long, she had plenty of free time. After practicing a lot, she says she felt strong enough to leave, successfully doing so afterward, which made her quite happy. Surprised by what he heard, Muli asks how she could move between the spiritual and physical realms so quickly, achieving something that few could accomplish in just 1 day of training, making the girl now think she might be some kind of genius. Mulai grabs one of his books, trying to understand how a ghost could be so talented. While she approaches and asks what this physical realm he mentioned is, not knowing anything about it, only worried about confirming if she really was a genius, she asks him to congratulate her for being so amazing, to which he just asks her to stop. She turns her back, sulking about how hard it is to get a compliment from him. But Mulai explains that now that she could interact with the physical realm, he could teach her how to create a body for her soul. Zhang Xiaoji asks how she would do that, and he asked her to come closer to his bed to show her the technique. The girl becomes embarrassed at the thought of him asking her to be on the bed beside him, starting to imagine all sorts of things. Mu Li asks what she thinks they're going to do, but she simply says she hadn't thought of anything, trying to hide her silly thoughts. Continuing the training, he explains that it's a soul transformation technique, and once someone surpasses the first layer of reality, it could attempt to create a physical object by imagining what they wanted. An hour later, Mulai is already starting to give up, listening to the girl say she wants to be a tree, transforming into a tiny one, and without pausing, she says now she wants to be an animal, turning into a rather strange-looking pig, which Muli notices and asks who told her that's what pig looks like. Angry, she accuses him of only being interested in seeing a woman's body in front of him, deciding to transform into her own physical form and asking if she looks beautiful, her face full of embarrassment. Mulai says that actually he couldn't see her. She starts to panic, realizing something strange is happening, feeling too weak to stand on her own. Falling into Mulai's arms, she says she feels very weak and strange, not knowing what's happening. The boy explains that of course she would feel exhausted from constantly changing her soul's form as it consumed energy. Still worried, She asks if he could do something to help her, but he tells her not to panic. She just needs to recover some of her energy, giving her a reassuring pat on the back. The girl asks why he hadn't explained this earlier. Mulai replies that it wasn't worth mentioning. At least now, she could manipulate the form of her soul. However, she doesn't see the point of learning that skill, thinking it wasn't really useful, and promptly attacks him in frustration. 3 days pass, and then birthday arrives. He shows up at the mansion on a motorcycle, asking if this was the location for Mr. Yu's party. The guard remarks that even after 10 years of working there, he's never seen anyone arrive on a motorcycle at the residence, considering the possibility of removing the man from the premises. However, the birthday celebrant appears alongside his granddaughter, Yuk Xiao Tong. Mulai hands him a gift, wishing the elder longevity, who seems delighted to see him again. The girl grabs Mulai's arm, saying she needs to show him their garden, which makes the elder think it would be great if the boy became his son-in-law. Soon noticing Wu Hong was also present. One of the guards points out that Wu Hong hadn't been invited to the party, but he insists he needed to attend to congratulate Mr. Yu. He then enters the party, pleased with himself, wondering how he managed to pull that off. Mulei and Yu Xiavatong, sitting in a lounge, start talking. The girl comments on how frightening it is that he reached such a level at a young age, asking how it's possible. He responds that with enough training, it's not that difficult to achieve, which makes her feel useless, thinking his answer might just be a joke to mock her. The two toads and the boy ask his friend to call them by his name from now on, and she agrees to stop calling him Sir. Meanwhile, she contemplates how close they've become, even considering the possibility of marriage and having children together. Feeling nervous at the thought of whether she'd want a girl or a boy, Zhang Lao and Lai Lao appear, greeting them and starting a conversation. Wu also shows up, spotting what seems to be his target, grabbing a glass of wine. He approaches Mu Li, apologizing for what happened in the metro, offering the drink to him. Without hesitation, Mu Li accepts the drink, downing it in one gulp. Wu Han then goes to speak with Mr. Yu, commenting on how he discovered the elder had recovered from his illness, offering his congratulations. The elder recalls that for some reason the Wu family had brought a significant amount of wine to the party. The man wanting to say something begins to capture everyone's attention, seeing it as a golden opportunity with so many important families gathered. He declares that everyone in China knows Beizhou as a weak region, with no province there having martial artists a master level. Liu Pengfei had reprimanded him for the level of his warriors, and moreover, for the past 7 years, a new generation hasn't had the opportunity to refute the facts. Wu Hong glances back at this moment, wondering why Mulai isn't drinking the wine he brought growing nervous. But he continues his speech, questioning why they haven't yet shown their strength, unable to understand the reason. One person, trembling with anger, adds to his remarks saying they lack a leader, and because of that, the region can't truly become strong. Wu Hong agrees, stating that his family has lived there for a long time, and therefore they can't tolerate the situation any longer, saying he's compelled to take leadership to showcase their strength to other regions, leveraging the local economy and martial arts. Yuk Xiaotong stands up, questioning whether he thinks he's better than the rest of the family, seeing no reason to follow his leadership. And Mulai, who had been silently observing, also doesn't seem pleased with the Wu family's intentions. However, many people seem to like the idea for some reason. One by one, people raise their hands, agreeing with the Wu family's proposal, creating a herd effect. One of the butlers informs the Yu leader that apparently some members of his own family agreed with Wu Hong's idea, mentioning that they had apparently been planning this behind his back for years. This makes the elder furious, shouting that his family had treated the man with so much respect only for him to do this in return. Wu Hong claims that people will always choose strong families to follow, and his was already falling apart, and that Bijao wouldn't last long without a leader. At that moment, he receives a slap from the elder, who says that this must be some kind of joke. But Wu Hong insists that this was the consensus, that he had been poisoned by the Wu family through some dirty method. Wu Hong stands up and reveals that a tasteless, colorless poison was strong enough to bring down even someone like him, having been slipped into the wine. Yet, the elder had confidence in his security team and couldn't understand how this could have gone unnoticed. At that moment, a family member admits that it was because of him, the same man who had once been bested by Mulai. This would ensure he was no longer a failure, as with the elder dead. He would become the new leader of the Yu family. But clearly, the Yu family would never follow him, much less let him live after discovering all this. At that moment, someone approaches Mulai holding a knife, threatening him. It's Wu Hong's son. The boy, seeing this, asks if he really wants to try his luck, making him tremble with fear just hearing that. The elder begins to collapse, feeling weaker by the moment. Clutching his chest, the elder tells Wu Baqi that while he might have attacked his family, he wouldn't touch a hair on Mr. Mu's head, because if he did, he would regret it. But Wu Baqi seemed unfazed by this threat, believing neither of them could do anything against his poison. The young man holding the knife continues to try to approach Mu Li, feeling an overwhelming pressure. Meanwhile, Elder Yu states that it's foolish to think they could defeat someone with a martial god level martial prowess in that manner. Hearing this, they can't believe the elder's words. There was no one in that level in all of Bijou. Not even Hawaiian Fu Yan had reached such mastery, making it practically impossible. Looking at a mere boy, it's even more absurd that he could have reached that level so young. And if he had, he wouldn't be there with the Yu family. Wu Baqi approaches Liu Feng and asks if he had seen the boy fight at the Guyu restaurant before, asking him to tell everyone that Mu Lai wasn't as powerful as they thought. Liu Feng confirms that Mu Lai had reached the level of a martial god yet, but without a doubt, he could already be compared to Huang Fuyun, being a true martial genius. Here recounts how Mu Lai had single-handedly defeated Lu Pengfei, sending him flying with just one bare-handed strike. Hearing this, Wu Baqi orders the boy to shut his mouth. Elder Yu begins speaking with Minister Wang about the wicked and immoral actions of the Wu family taking place that day, trying to comprehend everything. Beyond the attempt to eliminate his entire family, they would still disrespect a great master, disregarding the martial alliance he was part of. But Wu Baqi says that, in fact, what was really happening was just a normal martial artist mysteriously dying around there. And the man who was the minister of the martial alliance himself says he wouldn't have a problem with it if a little more money ended up in his account. This revealed that everything had been planned beforehand, leaving the elder incredulous and desperate about the situation, unable to do anything. Wu Hong asks his son, who had disrespected him at the restaurant that day, and how he wanted to take revenge on that person now. His son explains that on that day, he received 3 kicks from him, and would never forget the humiliation and pain that still lingered in his memory, saying that he would first break his legs and then his arms, as he would love to see him fallen on the ground like an insect. His father, hearing that, says that his son's words were twisted, but he liked it nonetheless, as he couldn't blame him for feeling that way. The boy then charges forward with a knife, blaming everything on Mu Lai himself, but he drops his wine glass and grabs the boy's arm by the wrist, making him drop the knife mid-air. He then swiftly grabs the knife and mercilessly drives it into the boy's hand. Now the boy starts screaming, asking for his father's help. The scoundrels begin to wonder if he had really been poisoned, even after drinking the wine in front of them. While Mu Hong charges at him for hurting his beloved son, Mu Lai simply tells everyone to get out of his way, delivering a precise kick to the man's face with a light and simple movement, effortlessly sending him flying to another part of the mansion, while everyone else questions if this was really the level of a poison martial master. But even though he was strong, he was still at a disadvantage, as there were many of them prepared for a fight. However, seeing that the young man didn't seem to be in a truly unfavorable situation, some people decide they wouldn't fight no matter what. One of them even says that the Wu family had called them there to wipe out the Yu family, but the current situation was extremely immoral. They decide to let the 2 families resolve their issues without meddling. But Wu Baqi appears next, trying to take control of the situation, heading towards the young Mu Lai, saying that he was indeed poisoned. And because of that, he would prove they could trust the Wu family's word, having no need to fear the boy, because this was the guy at the peak of strength in his family, showing that even though Mu Lai was at the master level, he felt no fear of the boy actually wanting to see how strong he really was. But by advancing carelessly, he ends up taking a precise blow and is sent flying. And before he could get up from the ground, he looks back in fear, taking another blow even stronger than the first, which destroys part of the mansion's wall, and sends Wu Baqi outside the residence. The minister, witnessing this, simply cannot believe his eyes, seeing Wu Baqi completely defeated hanging from a tree. Everyone looks at the scene with their mouths wide open, asking if the man had really been defeated like that. The elder approaches to check if everyone was okay along with his grandson, who asks Mu Lai if he wasn't also poisoned. But he explains that he had gotten rid of the poison earlier. Yu Xiaoxiang then teases his sister about her feelings for Mu Lai, and by doing so, ends up getting punched in the face by his sister. Her grandfather comments that throughout his life, he had waited for someone to come along who could handle his brat and a granddaughter, saying it was all fate. while one of the people approaches and hands over the antidote that had been hidden in Wubaki's clothes to them. With the situation now under control, the leader of the Yu family shouts, asking if they would still continue following the man's leadership, saying that if they didn't repent from that decision, they would end up exactly like him. Everyone then decides to follow the Yu family from that moment on, while he distributes the antidote to the people at the party. He thanks Mulai for saving his family from destruction, then asks the young man to become the true leader of the Yu family. Mulai, hearing this, asked if he was really sure about that, since he couldn't offer any benefits in return and would soon be elsewhere doing other things. Even so, they agreed with this decision. Thus, he said he would do his best. Elder Yu officially announced the new leader to everyone, saying that his words from now on would be absolute orders, something that didn't seem to please everyone but made sense since the boy had demonstrated such a high level of strength, and because of that, it was better to stay close to someone like him as he was powerful. The elder continued his speech, saying they could grow if they worked together, achieving great things. He called upon all the family leaders present to jointly decide the leader of the Bijou Alliance. Everyone listened attentively to the old man's words. He finally concluded his speech, saying that all this was for the new generation, sharing some of his family's knowledge with them. People began to get excited about this. One leader at a time commented on supporting the proposed idea. Everyone started planning how things would work, meaning a base of operations. They considered the possibility of the place being led by Mu Li, as he was the strongest among those present. With his name, they could have more opportunities. Yuk Xiaotong asked her brother if Mulai would really accept that request. He suggested that if she liked him so much, she could give one of her medicines to the boy, trying to plant the idea in her mind of drugging him to make him fall for her, a comment that made her get lost in her own thoughts and question what she was thinking. While her brother kept trying to make her agree with the idea just to provoke her, Yu Xiaotong didn't seem willing to do things that way, as she didn't even know if he really wanted to be the leader of her family. Meanwhile, her grandfather repeated the offer to the boy, who mentioned his lack of ability to manage that kind of thing. But since the leader had to be someone strong and respected by everyone there, he would undoubtedly be the most suitable person for the position. The people also seemed to agree with the proposal, saying they would handle the bureaucratic details from Yulai. And her friend also said that everyone would enjoy having him as the leader, politely asking him to accept the offer. All the while, she continued to hear her brother teasing her, her face red with embarrassment. She asked her brother if he was still mocking her even in such a serious moment. And looking at the whole situation, Mu finally decided to accept that responsibility, saying he would also be Bijou's leader from then on. Everyone began to rejoice at that, now calling the boy the Alliance Master. After that, 3 days passed. Mu Li and his sister were on a bus. The girl was sleeping while Mu Li overheard a conversation about the Yu family happening in the seat behind them. The two were talking about the new martial arts book created by the Yu family, with the help of the local Alliance Master, praising the product, which seemed to be successful in the Beizhou region, and making the boy recall the moment days ago when they had planned all of this. They also mentioned how this leader seemed to be a mysterious person. Rumors said this master didn't like to appear much, possibly being a truly extraordinary person. And his sister woke up, stretching and asking if they had already arrived. But he responds to her, saying there was still an hour and a half left until the end of the trip. The people on the bus praised the two for getting along so well together until they finally reached their destination. His sister jumped up off the bus with a cheerful face, looking very excited. She said goodbye to her brother, saying she would head to school first. Mulai took the opportunity to check his phone, where he discovered that Sujaki had supposedly been murdered the previous night. He grabbed a bicycle that was next to him and headed to his friend's house, almost running over people on the way, as he was worried about what he read on his phone. They complained about him riding without paying attention to his surroundings. Finally arriving at the Shiyu village, he began to enter the place, and Suan welcomed him back to his house. Mulai mentioned that he had hurried over after the man's call the previous night, and the man apologized for causing trouble again. But the boy said it was no trouble at all. Someone then appeared, shouting his name from afar. It was Su Jiaqi, who suddenly jumped on him. She seemed extremely happy to see her friend again. Her father tried to get his daughter to behave, while Su Wen's security group also showed up, noting that the boy had returned to the residence. He asked why they were there as well, and the man reminded him that he himself had requested it before leaving. Reporting that during his absence, The Hyujin faction had gone out of control, and now young girls were disappearing in Longshan. They were the culprits, aiming to capture virgin girls. So Jack He was a target, so the group was guarding the area preparing an ambush. After hearing all this, Mu Li asked if there were also any updates on Lai Yao's family, and the man said there had been attacks there as well, but Mr. Lai had some tricks prepared to handle it. He asked Mu Bai not to worry, as they had also placed another group to watch over them. The boy then thanked him for the well-done job, saying that since he was around now, his group could take a little rest. This made the elder happy, saying he had worked so hard lately, he was even starting to go bald. But before leaving, he mentioned hearing about a new master of Beizhou who had emerged, asking if Mulai had seen who the person was, and Mulai said that in fact, he was the master of Beizhou, while the man laughed, saying he truly had the strength to become that symbol. Suje Qi, hearing all this, asked that he had really become someone of master level, and the boy asked her if she didn't believe in him. She commented that it was hard to believe because masters were very important people, and he was just her personal bodyguard. Her father, hearing this, asked his daughter not to be so rude. But the girl seemed too upset because she couldn't leave the house while Mulai went out having fun, staying locked up all the time, only able to be scared by the martial arts stories people told her. Mulai, hearing this, was happy because it was a plan he had previously devised to keep her from getting into danger alone. Luo Xuan said he had an idea related to the Huahuan faction issue, saying he would enroll his daughter in a very good university and asking Mulai to request a transfer to the same place. The boy was shocked to learn he could transfer to the best university around, realizing that money really changed everything. The man continued, saying there would be a party with the Liu family to celebrate their achievements, with several important people attending. He planned to go and ask if Mulai would like to accompany him. This made his daughter quite excited, wanting to go as well, while he responded that he would be pleased to accompany him.
The next day at the Liu mansion, a limousine was seen at the mansion gates.
Xuan and his daughter arrived together, being followed by the group right behind. Lin Yu commented that the people on the forum were actually a bunch of idiots, asking Mulai to publicly declare he was the new master of Beizhou. But the boy said that fame and fortune weren't really his style. One of the butlers appeared, welcoming them, and Suji Aki remarked that Mulai didn't actually want fame or fortune, as it would be too much of a headache for him to deal with later. Stu Wen and Lin Yu sit on the chairs at the venue. After a moment of silence, they ask Mulai to also sit in one of the chairs. However, the boy says he is fine standing as he does not want to draw anyone's attention. At that moment, the leader of the Liu family arrives at the venue. He is Liu Wuxing, accompanied by two younger individuals. These raise assistants, named Zhangshan and Light's Eye. The girl hides behind her friend Mu Li, saying that Zhangshan's eyes are staring at her like a hungry predator. Meanwhile, the man reflects on the girl's beauty with a depraved expression. Mulai tries to show that he will protect the girl by staring back at the man. The man seems confused by his presence there. The host of the party then begins his speech, thanking everyone for their presence. As one of the attendees approaches, they congratulate the man on successfully becoming a master and present him with a pair of Buddhas made of jade as a gift. The people are astonished by the presence of the Zhangjing family, the family of the former master, commenting that the gift is worth millions of dollars. Suwen and Lingyu also discuss the boy present at the venue, who is 7th on the waiting list of those who will become masters in the future. Liu Wuxing remarks that the last time he saw the boy, he was much younger, asking if his grandfather is still strong and healthy. The boy says his grandfather is doing very well, and that he had already mentioned the man would soon reach the level of a master. Now that it has finally happened, he can consider himself a genius of martial arts. Suwen stands up and also states that martial arts are the treasure of Longshan and should be respected by everyone present. Hearing this, Liu Wuxing says that, although he's honored by the words, his potential is still limited. Due to the difficulty of advancing further, they need to rely on the potential of the next generation as well. The man continues praising Liu Wuxing, not believing that his potential is truly limited. He says Liu Wuxing is indeed a martial arts genius, although some people notice that his words are merely for commercial purposes. Su Zhaoqi approaches Mulai and asks if the talk about the man's limited potential is true. He replies that it is not true, but due to his age, he will not be able to evolve further during his life. It is a very difficult task to achieve when one is old. Yang Yulu, hearing this, points at the two, asking how they dare speak in such a manner about Lord Liu. This leaves everyone present astonished. The boy comments on hearing two ignorant people saying bad things about the man, such as him not having much vitality left. Suen tries to calm the situation, which quickly spirals out of control as others begin to question him. His daughter tries to explain that they did not say anything like that, but Jiang Yuliu confronts her, accusing her of not owning up to her own words, emitting his blue aura. Seeing this, Mulai reaffirms that they did not slander anyone. He orders the boy to retract his words, warning that if he does not, he will regret it. This makes Jiang Muleo nervous, as not even the leader of the Su family had the audacity to confront him in that manner. He then clenches his fist, saying that Mulai is merely a servant. Yet, he has decided to offend him and launches an attack with a punch. At the same moment, he notices something strange. It's a swift kick from Mulai that easily blocks his offensive, pushing him back while further provoking him. He realizes Muli's speed is not normal. Meanwhile, Sujeki starts cheering for her friend as the fight begins. Liu Wuxing asks who this person capable of matching Jiang Miliu is. He notices that Musli's strike was so strong that it has already damaged the man's meridians. That boy is truly someone out of the ordinary. Furious at having been kicked, Jiang Muliu charges at him again. But before he can deliver his strike, he starts coughing up blood. He clutches his chest, trying to stay on his feet, determined not to lose the fight under any circumstances. He decides to show Mulai the level of strength of a martial god candidate. Conjuring energy in the palm of his hand, he attempts to hit the boy in the chest with it. But Mulai ducks, dodging the attack, surprising the boy instantly. That ends up with a punch straight to the stomach, throwing him far back while he screams in pain. Liu Wuxian merely observes the confrontation, remaining seated in his chair without uttering a single word. As the people at the venue are shocked by the scene, Sujaaki takes the end of the fight as an opportunity to ask if they now know who the real genius in the room is. But Jiang Mo Liu, still conscious, asks who the hell that kid is preparing to attack again. However, the host interrupts the duel at that moment, wanting to know the name of the person with such power despite being so young. Mulai then introduces himself to the man. Jiang Mueleo, upon hearing his name, is astonished and asks if he is the one who killed Feng. The boy then answers his question, confirming that it was indeed him. He comments on Feng being the assassin of assassins capable of even killing a former master successfully. But he was killed by someone named Wu Ji, whom everyone thought was much older than the boy standing before them. Jiang Muliu says it doesn't matter who he is, as he has no right to speak in such a manner about Liu Wuxing. The boy asked if he knows how to use his ears, as he has not spoken any slander, only stated that the elder's potential is indeed limited. But disbelieving this, Jiang Muliu asks how Mulai would know that. Before he can be answered, the man interrupts again, asking how Mulai arrived at that judgment about him. The boy explains that the man had been at the peak of martial arts for quite some time. But to evolve to a higher level, he had not done so naturally and have forced the process, shocking the man who doesn't know how Mulai has that information. He continues explaining that because of this, his meridians have been blocked and the roots of his bones deformed. Furthermore, his advanced age already limits his potential, making it practically impossible to continue evolving in his current life. Jiang Muli, who calls the boy arrogant, claiming that Liu Wuxing is the most powerful martial artist even capable of resisting gunfire, and that his life could be extended by several hundred more years, making it impossible for his potential to be as limited as Mu Li asserts. After saying all this to the local master, everyone remains silent, waiting to see what will happen to the boy next. But Liu Wuxing says that everything he has said is correct, though he doesn't understand why the boy thinks his potential is limited. Mulai then approaches the man and holds his wrist without saying anything. Upon doing this, the man instantly perceives the boy's level of strength, better understanding why he said all those things. Liu Wuxing immediately invites him to talk in another place, while Sujaki asks her father why he is doing that. He replies saying that apparently Liu Wuxing has finally realized that the boy is also a martial god-level master. The two go to another location, where Liu Fuxing begins to speak, asking Wu Ji to forgive him for not recognizing the great supreme master in front of him. As a great master, he apologizes for his ignorance. But Engulai, not understanding the situation, asks why he thinks he is a supreme master. The man, who has never seen anyone stronger than him in China until now, says the boy doesn't need to joke with him, as someone with that level of strength is clearly a supreme master. He just doesn't know which master Mulai is, as he only knows of the existence of 4. One of them is the leader of the Wu family, and another is the leader of the Huangfu family. The other 2 are elder participants of the Hermit sect. Hearing this, the boy wonders if there really isn't anyone else, as even the leader of the Hu family, considered a god, is merely a master. Chinese civilization has existed for thousands of years, and according to ancient history, there were even stronger people comparable to gods. Even though there is no longer proof of their existence, they could still be out there hidden. Mu Li asks the man not to reveal that secret to anyone, and Liu Wishing promises he will never do so. He asks if Mu Lai has any medicine that could help his body recover, but the man's situation seems complicated. However, the man has been quite lucky to meet the boy, who fortunately has a way to clean his meridians, asking Liu Wuxing to provide pen and paper so he can write down the prescription for the treatment method, which Liu Wuxing obeys immediately, thanking the boy on his knees, showing his respect for him. Nearby, Su Jiaqi was looking for the bathroom, but noticed she was being followed. She comes across her friend and Liu Wuxing kneeling. Feeling relieved to have found the boy, she walks towards him, asking why Master Liu Wuxing is in that position, and then asking for his help with the person who had been following her around. The boy looks at the man, showing that he's watching him. This makes the man simply walk away from her, handling the situation easily. Liu Wuxing asks if the boy would be interested in having some food at his small house, but the boy says he is with Su Wen and needs to stay close him. Later that same day, they all gather together at a table, because Li Wuxing had invited Su Wen and his family to join them for a meal, making some people reconsider the importance of the Su family. Zhao Chun is also at the table, completely shocked by the presence of those people. While Zhang Junjiang does not seem pleased with the situation, Su Jiaqi, noticing the boy's discomfort, starts mocking him. Mu Li asks her not to speak ill of people so loudly, but she says she doesn't see anything wrong with it since it's better than talking behind someone's back. Her father tries to explain that she doesn't need to create more problems for Mu Lai, because if it weren't for him, she wouldn't even be able to attend a university. The girl doesn't seem to understand the dangers of going to a university, showing no concern about anything. Because with Mu Lai by her side, she feels always safe, knowing he would protect, prompting the girls to whisper about him. Xiao Chun also tries to introduce himself, but with those two beside him, he doesn't seem confident enough to make a good first impression. The teacher then resumes the lesson, asking the new students to find available seats in the seat behind Mu Lai. The boy is confused, not understanding much, while she clearly doesn't seem happy with the situation. Lai Yao asks what he has been doing all this time and why he hasn't visited her. He explains that he returned to Baijiang to see his family, but it hurt her that the Huan faction attacked them again. Everyone watches the two talk in complete silence, while two of them start wondering who that kid is, and if he isn't afraid of Exu Xiaodong coming after him later. The girl responds, saying that some people are secretly protecting her and that she also has the jade necklace he gave her. This makes him realize that she's a really nice person, and it's no surprise everyone there worships her like a goddess. Not to mention her appearance is also quite stunning. Lai Yao mentions that he told her he gave her the necklace because he owed her something, but she doesn't remember what that debt was. This statement makes Mu Lai recall things from his past as old life, where he used to beg on the streets as a homeless person with no one to help him, until one day, Lai Yao appeared, asking if he needed anything. However, because she went to that place, moments later, she was assaulted by Zhao Xiang, who abused her and caused her to commit suicide. Remembering the situation, Mu Lai simply tells her that, if she ever needs anything, she shouldn't hesitate to ask for his help. Without asking further questions, she just says okay. Watching the whole moment between them, Su Jiaqi is dying of jealousy, holding her friend as if he were a rag doll. The university bell rings after class, and everyone starts getting up from their seats, with everyone heading home. Lai Yao asks to show them around the university, but Su Jiaqi turns her face away and says that she actually prefers wandering alone, not wanting the girls' company. She walks away in the opposite direction, sulking. Lai Yao notices this and comments that his friend didn't seem to like her at all. But Moon Lai tries to explain that she just acts like a child sometimes, but has a good heart, so there's nothing to worry about. The girl mentions there's a gym nearby and asks if he would like to go there with her. Suddenly, two people appear, asking who the girl's friend is. Shu Shidong shows up in front of them, calling Lei Yao just by his name Yao, as if they were close. He mentions that he has already visited her uncle and is excited about doing business with her father. But he is interrupted by the girl, questioning why he's addressing her so intimately, as even her father doesn't do that. He then says he will call her by her regular name. As he moves away, they turn their backs on Kosu Shidong, prompting the two decide to follow them to find out what's going on. Upon reaching the grounds, it seems a fight is about to start. Sir Aquan appears, fighting someone even stronger than him. His opponent launches another attack at him, but Mulai decides to intervene in the conflict. He starts emitting his aura to fight, surprising Jiathwan, as he watches Muli's blow land squarely on his opponent's chest, knocking him back. Muli asks his friend what's going on. Juerhoon explains that he and Sujeki were walking around the school when someone suddenly started following them. They tried to harass the girl with dirty words, leaving him no choice but to confront the guy right there. Jungwei gets up from the ground, asking if the girl is made of gold to be so sensitive to a few jokes. Muli asks the girl if the guy really did that. She confirms, saying her dear damsel was being harassed by him, making him a bit uncomfortable in front of the watching and listening crowd. Realizing his situation is dire, Jungwei asks what they're going to do to him, warning everyone not to touch him or they'll face serious consequences. He starts pointing his finger at Muli's face, shouting insults in desperation, saying if he really wants a fight, he better knock him down before it's too late. But Taksu Xiaodong appears and orders the boy to apologize to Sujaki. Jungwei asks what Su Xiaodong is doing here too. He explains that Yao You's friends are his friends, so he needs to apologize quickly. Though it's clear, Su Xiaodong's intentions toward the girl are different. Nevertheless, Jungwei apologizes, which doesn't seem to please Su Jaeki much, and then she leaves hearing the praises Su Xiaodong received from the students for handling the whole situation. He also apologizes to her, saying there were always these nuisances around, but Su Jaeki says she didn't mind because Mulai was by her side, which ends up bothering him even more. Even so, he starts a conversation, saying he had heard rumors about the director of the Su Enterprises having a daughter who looked like an angel. But now he sees that all of that was a lie, leaving her confused, not fully understanding his comment, until he finishes his sentence saying that in reality she was far more beautiful in the sky itself, a statement that instantly makes Zhao Chun gag in disgust. Suyaki thanks the boy for his compliment, saying she indeed had a good reputation. She then turns to her bodyguard, furious, asking where he had been and why he took so long to show up, making Mulai wonder how she could change her mood so quickly out of nowhere. Stu Xiaodong continued trying to make conversation with his classmate, also complimenting Lai Yao. We started causing severe nausea in Zhao Chun, completely uncomfortable hearing every word he said. But Xu Xiaodong says he doesn't need to be bothered like that, and that he would make it up to them with a banquet at his house that night. An action that left the student audience even more impressed with Xu Xiaodong's efforts to protect the school's image. Xu Jackie asks if the boy is the official representative of the university to be so eager to help others there, commenting that, unfortunately, they already had plans together that night, but the boy says the banquet was just an excuse to befriend her. He adds that since she was new there, he could teach her some interesting things about the university. He then renews his invitation, mentioning things like a mysterious person in a trench coat on campus. This catches Sujioki's attention for some reason. He explains that there was a mysterious individual wearing a mask and in a trench coat at the university. Interested, the girl asks what time the banquet would be, wanting to know more about this trench-coated person, which leaves him confused for a moment since he didn't know the girl was actually searching for her mysterious unknown hero. He then says it would happen around 8 in the evening and that he would send her to location later. Suzuki accepts his invitation, saying they would be there while holding on to Muli's arm. Zhu Xiaodong then takes the opportunity to invite Lai Yao as well, and the girl, worried about her friend, replies that she would attend the banquet too. The boy bids farewell to the group and continues on his way accompanied by another friend. Lai Yao, watching him walk away, comments in a worried tone that Sujaki shouldn't trust sweet words because those people weren't good. She already knew that and believed that even so, they wouldn't dare do anything against her openly. They look at each other for a moment, assessing the situation anxiously, and Mulai breaks the tension, saying they don't need to worry as everything will be fine. Time passes and they prepare for the engagement, which finally arrives as night falls. Inside the venue, a man appears asking if his employee managed to arrange what he had requested. He says he did everything as instructed, while some people open the door to the place where they are meeting. Su Qian then asks his guest to sit down, and trying to avoid the boy, Xu Xiaodong thanks him for his courtesy, but had decided to sit near her bodyguard, Mulai, who was at the other end of the table. He seemed unconcerned about anything until that moment, until his friend Lai Yao also arrives, apologizing for being late. Pei Xu Xiaodong asks the girl to sit next to him, pulling out a chair and inviting her to sit. but she also says she would sit near Mulai, leaving him holding the chair like a fool. However, upon arriving at the scene, Zhao Chun sees this, thanks the boy for his kindness, and sits in the chair he was holding, greeting his friends while Zhao Chun looks stunned beside him. Mr. Jackie asks the boy if he had mentioned some stories about the university, but he asks her not to rush and to enjoy her drink while he tells them all, starting with a mysterious library in a more remote part of the school. However, the girl complains about that being boring, wanting to know more about the mysterious trench-coated person, rooting the boy's plan who had concocted an insane ghost story in his disturbed mind. Nonetheless, he begins telling the tale of a boy at Yemda University who dreamed every day of becoming a superhero. Sometimes he would climb onto the roof claiming he could fly. Because of this, all the students mocked him. But at that moment, for some reason, he stops telling his story, leaving the place completely silent. Curious Sergeyaki asks what happened next, wanting to know the ending. And the boy says that one day, the boy actually tried to prove he could fly by jumping off the building and dying, ending his story. This makes the two girls bang their heads on the table, thoroughly displeased with what they heard. Jeju Xiaobnang sits back at the table, appearing a bit anxious, as if he was waiting for something to happen. Some men show up at the entrance discussing among themselves if their target location was really on the second floor. They seem to be planning something malicious previously orchestrated. 3 unknown individuals appear next. One of them confirms the scent of a young girl is coming from there. The second one, hearing this, yells, asking her to let them experience the famed happiness. And the third one rudely kicks the door open. Opening the door in such a manner draws everyone's attention. One of the people inside asks who they are. Faced with these strangers, they begin to realize they had actually entered the wrong room. One of the butlers tries to direct them to the correct location, witnessing what seemed like a comedy show. However, it was already too late for them, as the people inside had gotten up to confront the group that entered in such a way. One of the intruders takes a deep breath and claims to be a professional wrestler, ordering everyone to step back before they regret it. But this only makes one of the men even angrier, who slams the boy into the ground with a single punch to the face. Meanwhile, the banquet in the other room continues as normal. Sujaki gets up and says, unfortunately, they have to leave. Kyushodong asks if she wouldn't want to stay a bit longer to hear the rest of the stories, wondering in his mind why the group of troublemakers hadn't arrived at the location as planned until someone yells his name asking for help. It's one of the people he hired, taking another kick to the stomach. They had been completely defeated in the other room by the fighters who were relentlessly beating them, and they ask if Xu Xiaodong is the leader of those guys. The boy, seeing Lu Stylen in front of him trying to confront him, is surprised and asks what the aspiring soldier is doing there. And not understanding why he shouldn't be there, he asks if the boy has a problem with his presence. Xu Xiaodong already knew this person would not be easy to deal with, while the thug he hired screams for help from the boy, but he simply ignores the plea, dismissing him as if he doesn't know him. However, Liu Xiaolin grabs him by the shirt and asks what orders Su Shidong gave, commanding the thug to reveal the entire plan to attack the girls, so he could play the hero in front of them later. However, they had entered the wrong room, encountering Liu and his group, leaving them quite irritated. This shocks the two girls who were merely listening stunned, and Su Jae-ki moves closer to Mu late, asking if he heard the talk about playing the hero to save the damsel. Not understanding what she means, he questions her. Meanwhile, Liu Qilin asks if Xu Xiaodong doesn't have a less embarrassing way to attract women. The boy claims he has no idea what the thug is talking about, trying to prove in some way that he has no connection with the people. Hearing this, Liu Qilin decides to show them what real strength is, leaving him very irritated with the whole situation. The aspiring soldier says that if he did something to the girls, the boy wouldn't be able to stop him because he's weak. This frightens Sujaki as he approaches her. He tries to touch the girl's face, but she screams in fear as he says there's no need for such a reaction. Staying missed, Mulai decides to act, grabbing his arm, making Liu Qilin ask if he really has the courage to try and stop him. He simply challenges the man back, showing no concern for his strength. Liu Qilin threatens the boy, saying he will tear off a hand if he doesn't remove it himself. But Mulai says that if he acted recklessly, he wouldn't be able to return home safely. The soldier remarks that he didn't expect to meet someone like that just after returning to Longchen from the army. He then manages to free his wrist from the boy's grip and asks if he practices martial arts, which makes him want to test Mulai's skills. He charges forward, throwing a kick with his right leg. Mulai says his kick wasn't bad, but still not enough, breaking the soldier's leg instantly without any difficulty. The man falls to the ground screaming in pain, while his friends, who are merely watching, begin to worry. Liu Xuelin realizes the boy's defense seemed like steel, where even giving his best, he was still defeated. Thinking that perhaps the boy possessed the legendary superior instinct, Mulai mentions his family name, asking who the soldier really is, which only irritates him more, having his name uttered by Mulai. Determined to fight despite barely being able to move, he launches a flurry of punches. However, Mulai easily dodges them all, getting even closer to Leaf Helen and holding his head with his palm, pressing him down, forcing the man to kneel on the ground in pain. He says young people shouldn't get irritated so easily, because if he kept hurting himself, he might not make it out alive. He then takes the boy's phone as if he were his father, and calls his grandfather Liu, the leader of his family, handing the phone back saying the elder urgently want a word with him. His grandfather sounded extremely angry on the phone, asking what the hell his grandson was doing, saying the person he was dealing with there was the renowned master Mulai, making the boy's realization hit instantly. Liu Xiaolan tries to think of a way to resolve the situation without directly offending Mr. Liu for attacking Mulai, while enduring more scolding from his grandfather over the phone. The call ends, and Li Shilin asks why his grandfather was acting that way, questioning if Mulai was even stronger than the elder. And Mulai, instead of confronting him, asks if he would rather join him. Liu Shilin then asks how the boy knows his grandfather, saying that Xu Xiaodong wasn't a good person, and he didn't understand why they were with him. But Mulai clarifies that he isn't part of Xu Xiaodong's group, which surprises Liu Keilin, considering the boy stopped him from attacking Xu Xiaodong's girlfriend. Su Jiaqi, hearing this, says neither of them were involved with Xu Xiaodong, and Lai Yao adds that he seemed to have misunderstood the entire situation. Understanding it better now, Liu Silin turns toward Xu Xiaodong, who is trying to sneak away, while Mulai and his group decide to leave for good. The two girls follow him immediately, hearing Xu Xiaodong beg them not to leave him alone. Liu Keilin comments that before joining the army, he held back from hitting people like that, but now he didn't care anymore, causing Xu Xiaodong to start panicking, being surrounded by the soldiers group, who wouldn't let him run outside. As Li Shilin approached him, ready to deal with the right person this time, saying he would clear up the misunderstanding immediately. Zhu Xiaodong asks if the boy wants to deal with his family, but that doesn't stop him from getting a slap in the face right after. 3 days later, back at the university, some students were talking about an upcoming basketball game and how amazing Xu Xiaodong was at playing. While the conversation continued in the classroom, a student named Fang Kan approaches Mu Li, introducing himself as basketball team captain, asking if he could substitute in the game against the university's finance department. However, Mulai says he can't play basketball, but apparently that didn't matter much, because at the very least, he would be more helpful than the other player who needed to be replaced. The girls in the class, hearing this conversation, ask if Mulai would be playing in the basketball game too. Trying not to get involved, he tells everyone that he actually won't be playing. But Fang Kun keeps trying to convince him, saying they would meet at 5 in the afternoon at the university's indoor court. And the girls in the class also said they would like to see him play, but even so, he kept refusing his classmates' request. Until Sujiaki called him, saying that if he played, she and Lai Yao would come to cheer for him too. With this request from his friend, Mulai then decided he would give playing a try. Outside the classroom, Xu Xiaodong appeared, listening to the whole conversation and promising that this time he wouldn't lose. The students finally gathered at the university court, where some female students showed up cheering for Xu Xiaodong. Xu Jiayi commented to Lai Yao that she didn't understand why they were cheering for someone from another class. Then she crouched in the stands, pulling out a flag and shouting, showing she was clearly there just to cheer for her friend Mulai. This made Mulai a bit embarrassed by her shameless behavior, especially since he was still on the bench next to Zhang Xiaoyu, not even playing yet. One of the opposing team members challenges the boys' team. Everyone gets ready for the game to begin. The referee blows the whistle to start the first half. Two players in the center court jump for the ball to start the game. The ball ends up with Xu Xiaodong's team. He holds the ball while advancing, hearing the girls in the crowd praise him during the match. 20 minutes into the game, another basket is scored, ending the first half. With a staggering score of 68-8, Xu Xiaodong already seemed confident of his victory, while everyone complained about the poor performance of Mu Li's team. Xu Xiaoqi also realized that the team she was cheering for was extremely weak. and Liao commented that the finance department's team was very strong, and besides, even their classmates were rooting for them. Yet despite the losing team's poor performance, they didn't seem defeated yet, with their captain giving a few words of encouragement. Then he went over to the bench, asking Mulai to finally play in the second half. But Mulai, who didn't want to play, asked if he couldn't just stay on the bench as agreed. However, his team was already exhausted and only had him left to step in for them, being a team not all talented in the sport with several glaring physical limitations. Seeing this, Fang Kun explained that they really had no better option and that he just needed to follow his commands during the game. Reluctantly, Muli agreed to play, not wanting to let them down tying his shoes, while Shabu Shadong simply watched, thinking about how he would make Muli cry while playing against him. The second half then began. The ball was contested at center court again. Shu Shadong managed to grab the ball, immediately locking eyes with Mulai. However, the ball was intercepted right after, and one of his teammates passed the ball to Mulai. He managed to hold on to the ball, even though he had no idea what he was doing, and thought about what to do next. Looking at his target's back, he threw the ball without moving, scoring a three-pointer. Amazed, everyone in the stands watched with a shot that seemed unimaginable to everyone. Su Jae-ki, seeing the scene, felt happy for her friend, but Fang Kun asked what the hell the boy was doing, as the score increased for Shu Xiaodong's team, with everyone laughing at the scene. Mulai didn't understand why that was happening, even though he had scored. The captain explained that he had actually made a basket for the opposing team, making him realize the mistake he had made. Shu Xiaodong also mocked the boy, thanking him for his help. The game resumed with Shui Xiaodong's team in possession. The boy dribbled the ball again, and Maolai moved in to guard him. Zhu Xiaodong said he would show him what professional skills looked like, easily passing by him with a dribble, getting behind him, impressing everyone watching the game. After getting past his defense, he felt confident. He jumped, preparing to make another basket, but Mulai intercepted the ball in mid-air before he could shoot, leaving Su Xiaodong stunned by his agility. Now all he could do was watch as his opponent scored points the correct way this time. He regained possession of the ball to restart the game, ready to defeat him, trying to advance through his defense, protecting the ball. But now, instead of getting past Mulai, he stepped back and made a three-point shot. However, with an extraordinary leap, Mulai intercepts the ball once again, catching it after quickly landing in front of his opponents. He scores another basket for his team. Everyone realizes the boy would be a huge challenge. Zhu Xiaodong grows furious, taking out his anger on his own team, ordering them to stop Mulai at all costs. 3 players surround him with the ball in hand. He jumps anyway and scores another 2 points. The crowd goes wild as Mulai, even marked by 3 players, continues to score. With only 13 seconds left, the game that seemed lost is now tied. Fang Kun and Shu Xiaodong exchange glances as they charge toward Mulai, making him realize that everything had been a plan from the beginning to defeat him. He manages to dodge both of them, who crash into each other at full speed as they hear Mulai say he understood their real plan, ending the game with another backwards shot. With a final score of 68-71, everyone in the stands is overwhelmed with emotion as Mulai's team unexpectedly wins the match. His teammates praise his skills, even though he insists that he can't continue playing basketball. This leaves everyone incredulous, as he clearly had a talent for the sport, even serving as an example for his teammates. His 2 friends watching the game call out his name, and Su Jae-ki hugs him from behind, trying to celebrate his victory over Shu Xiaodong. But for some reason, he doesn't seem interested in celebrating with her, treating her coldly. This makes her find his behavior strange, along with La Yao, who also knows that his behavior is unusual. Meanwhile, Su Xiaodong complains that he should be the one surrounded by girls being the basketball hero of the school. And if this continues, he'll lose all his admirers, swearing that he will defeat the boys somehow in the future. At that moment, Mulai receives a notification on his phone. His sister is asking him to go to the mall the next day. The following day, he goes to the location, meeting up with his sister again, asks why she invited him to accompany her since she never did that before, and starts thinking that maybe his sister just missed her brother who hadn't been home for a few days. But she denies it all, saying that if he went to the mall with her, they could buy clothes, so he would never have to shop again in the future. And she couldn't carry everything by herself, needing his help. The boy says he doesn't need new clothes as he still has his old ones, but she simply ignores him and continues for the men's clothing stores, saying he wasn't dressing well because he had no fashion sense, which might even make it hard for him to get a girlfriend later. 10 minutes Pass in the store, and Muli appears wearing a blue suit, which he clearly dislikes, commenting that he prefers his old simple clothes. But his sister already has more outfits ready for him to try on, making him realize he has no choice. Giving up on arguing with her, he heads to the checkout holding his new clothes, saying he'll buy everything. Because if he keeps saying no to her, he'll spend the entire day trying on every piece of clothing she brings. Finally, they leave the store, and Mook-sin then decides to enter another store, this time for women's intimate apparel. Her brother tries to understand what she's doing, watching her from outside as she calls him to come in too. He feels awkward, saying he doesn't want to see his sister trying on that kind of clothing, but she mentions there are seats inside where he can wait instead of standing outside. Mulai says it's not a problem for him and decides to wait outside anyway. His sister buys the clothes she wanted. After a brief period, she calls her brother to finally leave. As they walk and talk, someone appears in the distance, just observing them. It's Jang Yulu, who now knows that Mulai has his sister. Her brother asks if she really doesn't need more clothes, but she says she has enough to wear. At that moment, something strange appears on his radar. He stops walking instantly and puts his shopping bags down. Asking his sister to wait a moment, Mulai turns around and faces Jiang Miliu, who immediately confronts him. Mulai says he doesn't care why he was following them, but if he touches his sister, he can consider himself a dead man. Jiang Miliu responds that behind him stand 2 generations of powerful masters who would end Mulai's life if the single hair on his head is harmed. But Muli presses his shoulder as he listens to Jiang Miliu say that if he doesn't believe it, he's welcome to try his luck. He then turns around and waves goodbye, having given his warning. Jiang Miliu suddenly finds his body paralyzed, unable to understand what's happening, watching Mulai return to his sister, continuing as if nothing had happened, while Jiang Miliu starts feeling pain in his body, collapsing to the ground and clutching his chest, realizing Mulai is even stronger than everyone thought. Mulai finally bids farewell to his sister, handing her a protective item, which she gladly accepts. She gets into a taxi and heads home. That moment, a black car approaches, urgently calling out to Mulai. He asks what's going on. The man explains that it's an urgent mission, and they need to discuss it inside the car. The man says they found Acacia's hideout, and to ensure the operation's success, they decided to call on Mulai for help. Introducing Mr. Zhuangyan in the front seat, the man mentions his fame in the forum, where he's known by the codename Wu Ji, expressing his honor at meeting such a young master and praising his skills. Mulai, hearing this, says it's an exaggeration and that they shouldn't overestimate him. Finally, the car stops. They step out, surrounded by dense vegetation. Mu Li notices it's an ideal place to hide, and Sunmei encounters his acquaintance Lu Stylen at the location. Lu Stylen says he's also after the Acacia people, because of their unforgivable crimes, volunteering to kill them all. They had planned an ambush days earlier at this key point for the organization. The victims were inside the cabins, so the group unit to act cautiously during the operation. The man asks if they can eliminate the guards without being noticed, but it seems challenging as even a silenced weapon might alert them. Hearing this, Mulai says he'll handle it himself, picking up some leaves from the ground to start the invasion. Outside Acacia's cabins, everyone positions themselves strategically for the confrontation, while Muli prepares his attack with enchanted leaves, shooting them so swiftly that he remains unnoticed. The leaves hit the local guards in the head with a single strike, making his group realize just how skilled he is, truly seeming worthy of being called a martial master. With that, they proceed with the invasion. As they rush, Jiang Niliu informs that all the wooden houses have people inside, and the victims are kept at the back of the cabins, deciding that Mulai will rescue the victims while they hunt for the leader. It seems like a solid plan, but other guards quickly notice the strange movement outside, realizing they're under attack. They counterattack immediately, but Jiang Miliu effortlessly defeats 2 of them alone. Meanwhile, Muli advances, searching for the victims in the nearest cabin, where he faces an enemy armed with a knife. The attacker tries to stab Mulai in the stomach, but he dodges the attack, then swiftly avoids another slash near his face, realizing the blade is also poisoned. Jiang Niliu shouts that he's found the victims, with several women appearing, unclothed and injured, screaming for no one to hurt them again. Mulai takes in the situation, breaking his opponent's arm in a fit of rage, then fatally slashes his neck, unable to bear the sight before him. With the successful rescue, the victims are safely taken to the city. However, despite the situation seeming to calm down, the man informs them that Mr. Zhuang has been hit and is struggling in his fight against their leader. Mu Blai demands to be shown where the person is immediately. his eyes filled with a murderous intent. The fight between Zhuang and the leader of the Acacia group is underway. Liu Xiaolin decides to charge in and help his comrade, seeing that Zhuang is being overwhelmed by the man. But his presence is quickly noticed. The leader unleashes his full power at that moment, emitting a powerful and terrifying aura, blasting both his opponents away with a single strike. They realize that this man possesses an aura only the most powerful Acacia officials wield. Jiang Nili arises and declares that even though it's difficult, he should still be able to stop the man. But Mu Li asks him to rest, deciding to take over the fight. One of his companions warns that there's also a toxic gas in the area, but this doesn't seem to bother Mu Li. He confidently claims he can end this with just one strike. He charges at the Acacia official with incredible speed, catching him off guard as he remarks how cruel it is to do such things to innocent women. Before the official can react or speak, Mu Li channels his energy into his palm, delivering a powerful blow to his stomach. The man, now defeated on the ground, asks if Mu Li is some kind of master for moving so quickly. Not wanting to engage in idle chatter, Mu Li demands to know the location of the group's central base. The official, unwilling to cooperate, refuses to answer, only warning that Mu Li would be insane to attempt an invasion. He mentions that their leader is an investor, and if successful in his plans, will become a powerful master, far stronger than Mu Li. Knowing the man won't reveal any details about the organization, Mu Li decides to eliminate him. The official can't believe in murderous intent in Mu Li's words, but he is struck in the chest by Mu Li's palm, which pierces through him. He falls lifeless to the ground. Zhuang comments that the real problem is more severe as the true leader has escaped alive, suggesting he is highly skilled in martial arts. Still unsatisfied, Mu Li offers his assistance to hunt the man down before it's too late. Zhuang thanks him, agreeing that continued cooperation would be beneficial as they head back to the city together. Meanwhile, at the Central City Hospital, someone is angrily slamming a table. It's Xu Xiaodong, still furious about his last encounter with Mu Li, which didn't end well for him. Additionally, his friend mentions that Mu Li is gaining admirers and is now the talk of the university. He can't believe Mu Li used Xu Xiaodong to gain fame like that. Xu Xiang orders his friend to gather information on Mu Li's family, planning to ruin everything they have. Fang Kang comments that while Mu Li seems like a good person, it wouldn't be easy to confront him with violence. It would be better to use the attention on Mu Li to create a scandal, a more effective way to retaliate. Xu Xiaodong grows excited by his friend's idea. They begin speaking in hushed tones, plotting what they could fabricate about Mu Li. Determined to destroy him next time, back at Yinkai University, Sugaki strolls calmly through the corridors until she overhears some rumors that might involve her friend. She immediately stops the two girls gossiping, grabbing one and slamming her against the wall, demanding to know if what they're discussing is about Mu Li. She discovers that a disturbing video of Mu Li is circulating around the school. In the video, Mu Li is seen ordering a female student to follow his commands in a room, throwing her onto a bed as she screams for him to stay away. He is shown abusing her without remorse, ripping off her clothes, telling her that screaming won't help. So Jackie, who found out about the video while interrogating the two girls earlier, says she can't believe her friend would act that way, especially since he never did anything like that, even with someone as beautiful as her. She calls in immediately, asking if he knows about the video, realizing someone is clearly trying to ruin his reputation. He answers and says, unfortunately, he's already aware of the rumors. At the same time, he is surrounded by students at the university entrance, who are shouting insults at him. Everyone is saying horrible things, declaring that he shouldn't even be alive, trying to drive him out immediately. Declaring someone like him would be better off with a bullet lodged in his head. Chu Shuban watches all of this, laughing as his plan unfolds successfully. Fang Kan appears beside him, saying the next phase of their plan is ready, while remarks that Mu Li will finally understand why he should never offend the family. Lai Yao, who's standing by Mu Li, notices something strange. A group of students is bringing baskets full of fruit and objects, ready to hurl him at him. She is shocked by this scene and tries to step in front of her friend, urging him to be careful. However, he holds her back and dodges the crowd's barrage, making all the thrown fruit and objects hover in midair. While protecting Lai Yao at the same time, he decides to send everything back to the throwers, hitting several students without lifting a finger. Despite this, the students continue to complain about his presence at the university. Then Su Shodong decides to step forward, further inciting the crowd. He calls Mu Li a wild animal in human form, unworthy of being his rival or even attending Ningde University, demanding that he leave. The crowd echoes Hu Shou's words, supporting his speech. Mulai realizes Hu Shoudong is behind all the lies, but even knowing this, it's too late. If Mulai retaliates against him again, the next target will be his family. At that moment, he notices the protective jade he gave his sister is activated. Something strange seems to be happening to her. While Hu Shoudong continues spouting nonsense, daring him to at least hit him if he's man enough. He laughs in Mulai's face, thinking he has the upper hand. But worried about his sister and not wasting any more time, Mulai does exactly what he asked. He punches Hu Shoudong hard in the stomach, nearly driving his fist through his body. Hu Shoudong coughs up blood from the blow. He collapses to the ground as students rush to check on him. Mulai swiftly leaves the university, racing to his sister's location to prevent the tragedies of his past life from happening again, swearing he will never let anyone harm her again, vanishing at near sonic speed. Meanwhile, in a city alley, Mook Sin is surrounded by thugs, trying to break the Jade's barrier by any means. One of them pulls a knife from his back ready to attack her, when Mulai finds her, punching through the wall to reach the alley even faster. The thugs notice the wall cracking beside them, frozen in shock at what they're witnessing, wondering what in the world could be doing this. They then hear Mulai's voice, declaring that anyone who touches his sister will die, as he unleashes a slash of energy with his right hand. All the thugs fall to the ground after being struck. Mulai begins assessing the situation, observing all of his enemies already defeated. He approaches one of them, finding an earpiece in the thug's ear, with someone on the other end asking if they captured her. He recognizes Jiang Milyu's voice, who then swears death upon him through the earpiece, hearing Mulai's promise in return. Mulai crushes the earpiece and turns to his sister, telling her she doesn't need to be afraid as he will always protect her, assuring her that this will never happen again because no one has the right to lay a finger on his sister. She, upon hearing this, says she believed his words. After that, he returns to the university, walking slowly, thinking about what he could do to prevent that situation in the future, and also about the Acacia faction that was attacking innocent women like his sister. He then decides to pick up his phone and call his subordinates, who ask him as soon as they answer what his next order would be. Mulai then asked them to notify all the masters about something he was planning to do soon. His subordinate asks what it would be, and he informs them that they were going to destroy the Acacia faction. Liu Wuxing appear at his home, talking with Swen about what Su Shidong had done at the university. Swen complained about the boy's actions, saying he needed to be punished for all of it. And one of the servants appears, saying that the leader of the ex-Su family was there, wanting to meet with the elder as well. The man enters the place, introducing himself politely, and he finds someone from the Su family there, which surprises him. Liu Wuxing asks why he was trying to offend his family in such a manner, which leaves the man frightened, even thinking that he might actually be speaking with Mr. Su instead of Liu Wuxing. He asks the elder to explain the situation better so that he can understand the problem, assuring that his family would never do such a thing. Suen also can't hold back, saying that they couldn't accept such actions being done. Ordering that the Wu family take responsibility for their actions, the man remembers that Mr. Su could economically affect his family's situation. But being businessman, he hadn't expected to find the man there, showing involvement with martial arts as well. So Anne continues to say that merely affecting the Wu family economically wouldn't be enough to settle the matter on its own, making the man wonder why he was acting in such a way, as not even Mr. Liu had done anything like this before. Desperately, he asked again what had happened, saying he didn't understand anything and begging for an explanation. And Suen tells him about the fake video that had caused a scandal at Yingkai University. After some investigation, they discovered it was a montage made to damage the image of a student portraying him as a harasser of women, causing severe damage to the person's reputation in the process. The man asks who the student was, and Suan responds that it was the man known as Mr. Wu Ji. This shocks the man, as he already knew him from the forum and from Master Liu, having recognized his skills earlier. Once he thought about all this, Suan concludes his speech by saying that the person behind this whole incident was none other than his son, Kankak Su Xiaodong, heading to the city's central hospital again. Liu Wuxing appeared completely immobilized from the beating he had taken. His friend tries to calm him down, saying that Mu Lai had run away from the place, seemingly scared by what they had done, until someone appears kicking the door to his room. He asks fearfully who it was, but realizes it was only his father. Liu Wuxing is surprised by his presence, as he hadn't even informed his family that he was there yet, saying he didn't need to worry as he would recover soon, only to receive a punch from the man afterward, and asking why he had done that, to which he responds saying that because of what he had done, the whole family was now at risk of being destroyed, that his blow was little compared to what Mulai could have done to him, ordering his son to resolve all the problems he had caused as quickly as possible. Some time passes, and we return to the Su family village. Suja Aki appears coming down the stairs of her house, going to tell her friend that apparently the situation had been clarified by Shu Xiaodong, who had taken responsibility for everything. He thanks the girl afterward, and she says that as long as he was by her side, he didn't need to worry about that kind of problem because she could easily resolve it, asking afterward if he was really going after the Huen faction, to which he responds yes, saying that this organization only had bad people, needing to deal with them without letting anyone escape. Time passes and Mu Li appears with all his companions gathered ready for the next fight, then setting out for the confrontation, as the boy said that no one could leave there alive. The offensive against the faction finally begins. Mulai's group sneaks into the location stealthily, moving like train ninjas, taking down several people present without anyone noticing. This being the 5th headquarters of the organization they had destroyed in a single day. They hadn't known before the operation that the faction was that vast. Deciding to set the place on fire, leaving no traces behind, Muley asks for the location of the next base, and one of his subordinates informs him that the next spot is inside an underground casino. They depart, leaving only the flames reaching the skies behind. At the underground casino, news of the attacks had already reached the faction. A man, shocked by the loss of 5 of his bases, appears dropping his glass of water, worried about the current state of his organization. He was close to achieving a higher martial level, and if he succeeded, no one would be able to deal with him anymore. He asked a mysterious person if they already knew who was behind all the attacks, but the person replies that they knew nothing about it yet. This person being none other than Jiang Milyu, who actually already suspected that Mr. Wuji was behind it all. Nulai's group finally arrives at the casino, wearing black cloaks that hide their faces, and Zhuang, watching the situation from a distance, comments that their leader was Mr. Wuji himself, who had already destroyed 5 Huhuan faction bases in one night. They enter the place, ordering all common people to step outside. The faction leader heads to the main hall to understand what was happening in his establishment. One of the casino's guards asks who the people in black were, but ends up being knocked out by Mulai with a punch to the face that twists his head backward. However, before hitting the ground, he's struck again by another precise blow to his energy-filled chest. The boy then faces his enemies, who seem to be the last remaining members of the faction, and he charges at them, defeating them all in an honest exchange of punches, throwing them all against the walls of the place which were destroyed in the process. Mu then effortlessly takes down all the guards and begins to hear someone clapping in the distance. The man praises his skills but says, unfortunately, the boy had attacked some of his comrades. Mulai looks back, noticing a man in the upper part of the hall, and asks if he was the faction leader. The man responds that he indeed was the person Mulai was looking for. But Chuang appears by his side and comments that he had seen the faction leader before, and that this man looked nothing like who they were seeking. The man explains that the former leader had left a long time ago, but before that he had put him in charge of everything, because he was a martial genius, having reached a high level in just 10 years of training. And that very day, to their misfortune, he had finally become a martial master, something Zhuang says is practically impossible. Beyond that, the faction leader continues to say that his student would also use the same training methods to soon become another master, revealing that he was another genius from the Jiang family, named Jiang Milyu, who then appeared behind the man. Jiang Milyu looks at Mulai and says the boy had truly proven to be a worthy opponent. He had never thought Mulai would be the one behind the attacks, but still, he wouldn't leave that place alive. Upon seeing the boy, Mulai shouts his name in fury, for he was the same person who had attacked his sister days ago in the city's alley, saying that in truth, it was Jiang Milyu who wouldn't leave there alive. Jiang Milyu then jumps to the center of the hall, facing Mulai head-on without fear, while the faction leader orders them to kill everyone there. And ready for combat, challenges Mulai to see who would truly win that confrontation once and for all.